Hey everyone, per your requests, I'm starting Soul Land 5, the Rebirth of Tang today. My channel isn't monetized, so if you're able to, please support me on PayPal to help me stay active. Chapters 541 through 560 of the previous episode. Tang San observes the match between Big Cat and Gulan, noting the latter's immense wealth through his equipment. He predicts Big Cat's victory, recognizing Gulan's lack of explosive power. When Big Cat wins and is acknowledged by the Golden Lion clan leader, Tang San helps treat his injuries and advises him to accept their aid. Later, Tang San confronts the immortal Flame Phoenix, Ji Guanlin, and defeats her using the purple demon eyes to break her mental defenses, advancing to the quarterfinals. In the doubles match, he supports Mei Gongzi, amplifying her power to counter Meng Didi's dark domain. Thank you. Now, let's get back to the story of Soul Land 5, the Rebirth of Tang San. Mei Gongzi moved with incredible speed, her figure flickering as more spatial blades poured out from the celestial plume, continuously flying at Meng Didi. The latter, however, firmly held his saber like a shield in front of him, not counterattacking but guarding himself tightly. Darkness and space erupted into a fierce clash, and in no time, the battle between the two sides had reached boiling point. At this point, even the two great Demon King referees couldn't intervene. The outer area of the competition stage was completely shrouded in darkness. But within the dark domain, there was a strange silver zone. Inside the silver zone, not a trace of darkness existed, and the two sides were continuously clashing and fighting at the border of this area. Tang San and Meng Deshi seemed to have become invisible. They were hiding behind Mei Gongzi and Meng Didi, purely providing support. Mei Gongzi's spatial blades grew increasingly fierce, forcing Meng Didi to retreat continuously. The sharp edge of the celestial plume kept slicing through his blades of saber energy, and deep purple dragon scales appeared on Meng Didi's skin to resist the sharp spatial blades. Meanwhile, the dark domain continued to press inward, causing the battle space to shrink. At this moment, no one could determine the superiority of either side. All that could be felt was the intensity of their clash. In Mei Gongzi's eyes, silver light flowed, and each spatial blade was more intense than the last. Finally, Meng Didi's saber lights seemed unable to block the spatial blades anymore. A silver light flashed, leaving a gash on his shoulder. Even the tough dragon scales shattered under the sharp edges. But at the same time, the surrounding barrier of spatial power also shattered, and a massive amount of darkness elemental energy surged inward. The silver light in Mei Gongzi's eyes condensed, and a circle of silver radiance bloomed behind her, forming a silver halo that enveloped both her and Tang San. Before the surging darkness could engulf them, they vanished into thin air once again. As the dark domain contracted, the silver radiance expanded on the other side, once again blocking the dark onslaught and creating a small corner of light covering about 1/10 of the stage. The first clash between the two sides had ended. On the surface, it appeared that Meng Didi was injured. A purple-black aura flowed over his wound, devouring the invading spatial energy, but Meng Didi's expression grew serious. He narrowed his eyes slightly, and his black saber pointed diagonally at the ground. Dragon roars echoed, low and terrifying roars, as if from the depths of hell, striking fear into the audience's hearts. Behind Mei Gongzi, a gigantic peacock silhouette appeared, its entire body a dazzling silver and its proud head held high. Mei Gongzi slowly raised the celestial plume in her hand, and 3 brilliant silver lights shot up from the feather's eyes, merging into the silver peacock. The silver peacock radiated brilliant light from its entire body. Its tail feathers fanned out instantly, releasing countless silver rays that transformed into sparkling silver starlight. Meng Didi gripped his saber with both hands, while Meng Deshi transformed into her true form, a massive black dragon over 10 meters long. Lowering her head, she propped him up. All the darkness around them instantly condensed toward the black saber, which absorbed it like a sponge. 100-meter-long purple-black light blade formed, and the entire sky around it seemed to darken. As it turned out, the previous clash, which looked like a clash of supreme techniques, was nothing but a probing skirmish. Right now, both sides were truly ready to unleash their ultimate moves. This was the display of their formidable bloodline powers. The expressions of the two great demon kings standing on either side of the stage were peculiar. Was this a battle at the 9th order? Even god-level experts couldn't put on such a show. These 4 contestants were clearly not gods, yet the combat power and bloodline abilities they were displaying were not just at the 10th order but beyond it. It was understandable of Meng Didi. He had been the dragon race's greatest prodigy since childhood, the Tenebrous Emperor's most beloved grandson. He had shown exceptional talent from a young age, progressing rapidly step by step, and was hailed as not only the heir of the Tenebrous Dragon clan, but even a possible replacement for the Crystal Demon Emperor. But this girl from Kali City, from the Peacock Demon clan that hadn't had a demon emperor for a few generations now, how was she so powerful? She wasn't even a true demon, but a human hybrid. And yet it was this girl that was forcing Meng Didi to take a match seriously for the first time and go all out. Just this alone placed her above every other contestant. In her previous matches, Mei Gongzi had not displayed such strength. And in this match, at least for now, it seemed she even held a slight advantage, having just injured Meng Didi. Roar! The low dragon roar suddenly became high-pitched. The enormous blade of purple light descended from the sky, as if to ignite the entire void with darkness, fiercely falling straight down toward Mei Gongzi. No one doubted that if this blade landed on the stage, it would split the entire stage in two. The audience directly facing the terrifying blade beam even began to panic, jumping up in fear that the beam might go off the stage and affect them. The two great Demon King referees exerted their power simultaneously, each creating a strong barrier around the stage. Even at their level, they felt a hint of threat from this blade. But at that moment, the silver peacock's tail feathers emitted a dazzling silver light. In the next instant, the entire stage seemed to become illusory, giving the impression that the sky and earth were spinning. The terrifying blade beam inexplicably turned around, slashing into the void. In an instant, it was far away, leaving behind a gigantic black streak in the sky. The Peacock Demon Clan's divine technique, Star Shift. Yes, with Tang San's support, Mei Gongzi used this divine technique for the first time. This was a divine technique that required not only 10th order cultivation at the very minimum, but also exceptional talent. Its use was conditioned by the Peacock Golden Crown, so not everyone could use it even among the Peacock Demon Clan. Back then, when the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor attacked Kali City, it was the Peacock Great Demon King who, with the accumulated fortune of Kali City and the heritage of the Peacock Demon Clan, used Star Shift to repeatedly block the attacks. This ultimately led to a mutual defeat, forcing the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor to retreat. The Star Shift that Mei Gongzi executed was not as powerful as the Peacock Great Demon King's, but it clearly captured the essence of the technique. Feeling the changes in the rotating space, Mei Gongzi's eyes grew even brighter. Her heart was filled with pride and gratitude. Pride in herself and gratitude for the one supporting her from behind. Without his full support and enhancement of her bloodline and spiritual power, she couldn't have used Star Shift. And it wasn't just the fact that she was able to use it in this match. Now that she had experienced it, her understanding of it deepened massively. Once she broke through to the 10th order, this technique would allow her to immediately become an absolute powerhouse among Demon Kings. It also opened a smooth path for her to ascend to the Demon Emperor level. Star Shift. This is Star Shift, the divine technique of the Peacock Demon Clan. When the Peacock Demon Emperor was still around, it was said that she could use Star Shift to reflect any and all attacks. Incredibly powerful. I never expected to see Star Shift appear again in the Ancestral Court Elite Tournament. This is simply... When Star Shift appeared, even those in the VIP boxes were shocked, and the Peacock Great Demon King most of all. He thought that he knew his own daughter best, yet even he had never imagined that Mei Gongzi could use Star Shift at her level of cultivation. This was beyond incredible. It was absolutely astonishing. Since she was capable of using Star Shift, it meant that her breakthrough to the 10th order would no longer face any obstacles, even though she was currently using it under Azura's augmentation. The Peacock Great Demon King knew the process of learning Star Shift all too well. The most challenging part was the first time. Once basic proficiency was achieved, using it again was merely a matter of having enough energy to do it. Had little Mei already comprehended spatial power to this extent? At this moment, the Peacock Great Demon King felt that he had nothing more to teach her. On the stage, Mei Gongzi almost instinctively wanted to turn around to look, but that familiar voice echoed in her ears. Don't look, just focus on comprehension. Okay.
Mei Gongzi nodded lightly.
With Tang San's power supporting her, she had now entered a mystical state. Not godhood, but something superior to it. In a moment of inspiration, she gently waved the celestial plume in her hand, releasing 3 silver beams again, which re-entered the gigantic peacock phantom in the sky. The silver radiance bloomed once more, and the sparkling starlight reappeared. Although she could now use Star Shift, she could only redirect the opponent's attack without controlling the exact direction, much less being able to reflect it back at the attacker. Even so, it was quite enough. She wanted to seize this opportunity to deepen her understanding and solidify her proficiency with this divine technique. Cultivating spatial power to the extent of being able to use star shift could be well considered actual mastery. She was truly merging with space, controlling space, and guiding space. She was becoming the child of space. In terms of talent, she was clearly not as gifted as Meng Didi, but she had someone supporting her. With Tang San's assistance the previous night and today's continuous input, she was forcibly pushed to this level. Yesterday, Mei Gongzi had asked him why she couldn't use two bloodline abilities simultaneously, and if there was a way to solve it. In just one night, Tang San had already helped her solve this problem. Now that her control over her own abilities was so refined, was it still impossible to tap into two different bloodlines simultaneously? At this moment, Mei Gongzi felt that everything Azura did seemed to have a deep meaning. No matter what problem she faced, as long as she handed it over to him, he could solve it smoothly. Unconsciously, she had developed a reliance on him. In her mind, the scene from when she was first recognized by the celestial plume resurfaced. She was standing on a high platform, with him right beside her. Her anxiety had completely vanished, leaving only immense confidence in her heart. In the air, riding on the back of the dark dragon that was Meng Deshi, Meng Didi's eyes widened and his pupils contracted. His full power strike had just been slapped away by Mei Gongzi, causing him to feel a tremendous shock. Although he had come to participate in the Ancestral Court Elite Tournament, he had never believed there would be an opponent capable of stopping him. Along the way, the opponents he faced were certainly not weak by normal standards, yet they were still far inferior to him. Before this competition, his usual opponents were god-level powerhouses, and all were from the dragon race. He had been suppressing his breakthrough in order to build a solid foundation, even aiming to leap directly to the Great Demon King level. He was determined to win this tournament. To motivate him, the dragon race even offered an incredible divine artifact as the champion's reward. This was why Meng Didi entered the competition. Geniuses are proud, and Meng Didi was no exception. So, when faced with a true challenge to his abilities, he wasn't angry or anything else. He was excited. Extremely excited. Moreover, Mei Gongzi was so beautiful that the first moment he saw her, he even had some other thoughts. But those fleeting thoughts were now instantly suppressed. His intense competitiveness made his bloodline feel as if it were boiling. Meng Didi's long saber quivered slightly, and the dark purple blade light flared up again. Under him, waves of dark energy surged, and the immense domain power expanded once more. You can use star shift. Huh? Let's see how you do that in the eternal night with no stars. The dark domain erupted wildly, even stronger than before. Meng Didi's eyes gleamed and a strange energy radiated from his pupils. A peculiar soul attack. The energy rippled out, spreading quietly from his sea of consciousness. Mei Gongzi had already prepared to use star shift once more, but suddenly felt her mind becoming somewhat dizzy. The next moment, however, a more powerful surge of spiritual power flowed into her sea of consciousness, firmly guarding her. Spirit core. A low roar and a high-pitched, intense dragon roar sounded almost simultaneously. Invisible energies clashed in the air. It was spiritual power versus spiritual power. An instant later, the black dragon descended from the sky, diving straight toward Mei Gongzi. The ability Meng Didi had just used was Soul Shock. As it turned out, he was not lacking in terms of spiritual power either. As the most exceptional talent of the dragon race, he simply had no weak points. Yet his Soul Shock was interrupted by that low roar, and in the collision of spiritual attacks, he was surprised to find that he did not have the upper hand. He then noticed the man who had been silently following Mei Gongzi, always by her side, with one hand on her back. That roar had come from him. The dragon dived, and the saber shone. The dark purple blade light became even more brilliant under the stimulation of the dark domain. Mei Gongzi's celestial plume quivered in her hand. A beam of silver light shot up into the sky, and the dazzling silver light instantly illuminated the space. The saber light silently vanished. In the face of star shift, nothing could remain. The silver sword light also arrived in an instant, piercing straight toward Meng Didi's forehead. Meng Didi seemed to have anticipated this change. A bright purple spike suddenly emerged from his forehead, striking the silver sword light and dissolving it. In the next moment, the bright purple spike transformed into a purple-black horn, causing the surrounding darkness elemental energy to boil instantly. Space energy plummeted instantly, and the entire sky turned dark. There was a good reason Meng Didi had such exceptional talent and was hailed as the foremost of the younger generation, the future of the dragon race. His bloodline was far more than just that of a tenebrous dragon. Like the Crystal Demon Emperor, he was a solitary with a unique, mutated bloodline. The tenebrous Demon Emperor had given his new kind the name of Black-Horned Dragon King. The horn was like a beacon of darkness, ushering in eternal night. The overwhelming darkness turned the sky above the entire ancestral court plaza pitch black. Meng Didi's black eyes had been glowing with purple light, but they turned blood red in an instant, and his aura surged. Even more terrifying, dark clouds began to swirl in the black sky, with dark red lightning flashing rapidly. This clearly indicated the emergence of tribulation clouds, a sign that he was about to undergo a tribulation at any moment. The appearance of the horn shocked the world. Stimulated by star shift and inspired by Mei Gongzi, Meng Didi was finally revealing his true form and terrifying power. His power had reached an uncontrollable level, even summoning tribulation clouds, a sign that he was about to undergo a tribulation to ascend to godhood. Seeing this, the other contestants were both shocked and delighted. If Meng Didi defeated Tang San and Mei Gongzi's team and then ascended to godhood, it would mean he could no longer participate in the subsequent matches. This would effectively leave both teams out of the competition. Obviously, it was the best outcome for the rest of them. Meng Didi, who was diving downward, paused and looked up at the eternal night sky. His cold red eyes flashed, and with a grasp of his right hand, the black saber vanished, replaced by a long spear. The spear was a crystalline blood red, with the shaft covered in dark red scales. It was over 4 meters long, and the tip seemed to swirl with boiling blood. It also emitted a soul-shaking, eerie wail. Raising the spear in his hand, he pointed it at the sky, and a beam of blood light shot up instantly. The mournful howls of vengeful spirits filled the entire arena in an instant. The tribulation clouds forming in the sky dispersed just like that. The bolts of lightning vanished. A hint of disdain flashed in Meng Didi's eyes, as if saying, "Before I decide to undergo a tribulation, not even the heavens can bring it upon me." Tang San's voice sounded in Mei Gongzi's ear. "Be careful, that spear is an absolutely evil weapon. It was forged by using the spirits of at least 10,000 strong beings during its forging. It's far more powerful than an ordinary divine artifact. He's using the weapon's power to tell the heavens that this level of tribulation is nothing to him, and that a stronger tribulation should be sent in the future. This guy is too arrogant."
Mei Gongzi nodded lightly.
Facing the diving Meng Didi, she did not retreat. Instead, she took a step forward, rising into the air. Her delicate body spun in the air, and a pair of silver-white wings spread out behind her. Suddenly, everything around her looked strange and illusory. Beneath her, there seemed to be faint streams of gold-and-silver energy flowing, making everything around her appear like a dreamscape. The gold-and-silver energy lifted her delicate body higher, and the celestial plume in her hand radiated brilliant light. Strange lights and shadows surrounded her, and the giant peacock above her head suddenly spread its wings and dived down, merging into Mei Gongzi's body. She looked even lighter and brighter now, like a feather of silver light floating in the pitch-black eternal night, illuminating everything around her. The celestial plume in her hand now looked no longer like a sword. It was finally as gentle and flexible as a feather is supposed to be, and it was dancing gracefully along with Mei Gongzi's mysterious steps, causing everything around her to slow down. Meng Didi and Meng Deshi were diving down at full speed, yet their motion suddenly turned jerky and repetitive. It was as if they were stuck in a loop. For the first time, a look of surprise appeared in Meng Didi's blood-red eyes. He felt that the entire space around him was changing. Even under the suppression of his advanced dark domain, the Eternal Night domain, the space element was silently reviving and invading his domain like gentle rain piercing through mist. The girl dancing below him seemed to be in control of everything. Her eyes were no longer silver but a deep, dark platinum, casting a strange light that made the entire ancestral court plaza seem like her stage. A VIP box door opened. The Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor walked out with a solemn expression. Another door opened, and an old man with a hooked nose, dressed in black, stepped out. Then the door of the central box opened as well, and the Celestial Fox Demon Emperor, the true ruler of the ancestral court, walked out. It appeared that he was in fact here today, and he had merely yielded the role of Master of Ceremonies to the White Tiger Demon Emperor. Not far from him, the door to the White Tiger Demon Emperor's VIP box also opened, and the imposing and stern heaven-crossing, earth-piercing emperor also stepped out. The usually calm eyes of the celestial fox demon emperor showed a trace of shock. The light dance of a fairy treading upon the secrets of heaven. Has the celestial dance finally reappeared in this world? The white tiger demon emperor murmured. The celestial fox controls fate. The peacock demon peers into the heavenly secrets. It really is the celestial dance. The peacock great demon king was still seated, but at this moment, this great demon king that was probably the strongest of his generation, the mighty patriarch of the peacock demon clan and lord of Kali City, was in tears. Su Xiren from the Etherhorn Merchant Association was also in tears in the spectator area. The celestial dance, peering into heavenly secrets and stealing them in order to survive. The peak period of the demon continent was when the celestial fox and peacock demon emperors coexisted. It was during that era that the demon races surpassed the nymph races to become the true rulers of the demon continent. However, there had only been one peacock demon emperor, and after she passed away, the celestial dance vanished from the world, only to unexpectedly reappear during this ancestral court elite competition. An intense dragon roar pulled everyone's thoughts back to the present. The gold and silver colors had spread across the sky, dissipating the eternal night domain. Light was returning to the world. Meng Didi's expression turned grim. The bright purple-black horn on his forehead glowed intensely. His eternal night domain was immensely powerful, yet it was gradually fading under the influence of this girl's dance. That strange power filled him with a sense of dread, as if she could see through his very being and know all his secrets. He slowly raised the blood-red spear in his hand, causing the space around him to collapse rapidly, forcefully creating a blood-red area. Terrifying blood-colored currents surged, and Meng Didi's movements became smooth again. Meng Deshi returned to human form, hiding behind him. Blood slaughter, Meng Didi growled. The blood slaughter devil spear in his hand emitted a piercing wail, and countless blood-colored shadows surged forth. The horn on his forehead now emitted blood-red light instead of purple. His body began to swell, growing a meter taller instantly. Muscles bulged, tearing through his clothes. Dark red veins pulsed irregularly on his skin, and an extremely terrifying aura surged like wildfire. Meanwhile, Mei Gongzi sensed that something was off. The three eyes on the celestial plume in her hand lit up simultaneously. She gently swung it while spinning around, sending a gold-and-silver beam toward Meng Didi. The beam was very peculiar, weaving through the blood-red shadows and somehow always finding a gap as it headed straight for Meng Didi. A crisp snap echoed, and at the same time, a deep, bloody mark appeared on Meng Didi's chest, with dark red blood gushing out. Under the celestial dance, the celestial plume was no longer a sword but a whip. Meng Didi's blood-red eyes stared at Mei Gongzi. He was seemingly unfazed by the pain. He fiercely shook the blood-slaughter devil spear, and countless illusory red shadows surged forth. In the sky, the endless spread of blood-red temporarily suppressed the gold-and-silver energy, rendering it unable to rise further. The entire sky seemed polluted. Then the blood-slaughter devil spear thrust forward, unleashing a glaring blood light that descended instantly, reaching Mei Gongzi in a flash. After all, Mei Gongzi had only just begun to grasp the celestial dance. Her cultivation was not at the god level, so she was unable to harness its true divine nature. She could only rely on the power of the gold and silver energy to amplify herself. The blood-slaughter devil spear, being a demonic weapon, could suppress the gold and silver energy to some extent. Moreover, Meng Didi had cultivated the mighty bloodline of the Blackhorn Dragon King to the point where a breakthrough to godhood was imminent. This incredible bloodline power allowed him to regain the upper hand. With a crisp sound, the celestial plume struck the tip of the blood-slaughter devil spear. Contamination, a cold voice echoed. Instantly, a layer of blood spread over the celestial plume, greatly diminishing its spiritual power. The gold and silver energy accompanying Mei Gongzi's movements also weakened. The bloody energy surged, and the gold and silver energy receded. With a thunderous boom, Mei Gongzi was violently shaken and sent flying backward, falling directly toward the ground. The bloody light intensified instantly, devouring the remaining gold and silver energy in the air. Even more bloody light burst from the blood-slaughter devil spear, and Meng Didi let out a piercing dragon roar. His wings spread open, and he dived toward the falling Mei Gongzi like a bolt of blood-red lightning. At this moment, Mei Gongzi felt a wave of nausea emanating from her chest. Both the celestial plume and her body were being eroded by the bloody aura, and countless vengeful spirits were surging toward her. If not for the gold and silver energy's protection, she would have already been corroded into blood pulp. At that moment, a calming voice sounded in her ear. In the next instant, the massive crystal core connected to the smaller one floating in her sea of consciousness suddenly radiated a brilliant light. Mei Gongzi vaguely saw starlight, real starlight this time, from the boundless cosmos. It was as if she was suddenly connected to another world. A pair of strong hands wrapped around her waist from behind, drawing her naturally into a tight embrace. In the next moment, time seemed to resume, but what Mei Gongzi experienced were countless fragmented images flashing through her mind. Each fragment was blurry, and yet she felt an intimate connection to them. She felt dizzy and dazed, and her spirit core was shaking violently. However, the warmth of those arms and the gentle power of the huge crystal core stabilized everything about her. A point of starlight suddenly brightened in her spiritual world. In that moment, she seemed to see an ancient world, a pair of embracing figures, and endless feelings. A red glow suddenly expanded within her mind, and the celestial plume in Mei Gongzi's hand disappeared. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, her hands slowly reached toward each other above her head. Though her movements seemed slow, they were extraordinarily mystical, like when she had previously conjured the mysterious circles of heaven. The moment her palms joined, a red beam shot up from her hands. Meng Didi's bloody light exuded a vicious aura and was accompanied by the wails of countless vengeful spirits. But the light emerging from Mei Gongzi's hands, though also blood-colored, was vast and grand, filled with majesty and righteousness. The blood-red light suddenly rose. None of the spectators, including the emperors, sensed the overwhelming power in that blight. But the moment it made contact with Meng Didi's light, a strange scene unfolded. The wails of the vengeful spirits turned to laments. The boiling frenzy of the blood-slaughter demon spear faded, and all the ferocity and darkness seemed to be cleaved apart. Meng Didi's fierce gaze turned to astonishment almost instantly. He suddenly jerked his back, forcefully flinging Meng Deshi off and sending her flying out of the arena. The two bloody lights collided and crossed in an instant. One of them seemed to be completely split open, dissipating into the sky. For a moment, time and space seemed to freeze. All the fragments floating in Mei Gongzi's mind stopped moving and gradually turned to illusions. In her mind, she seemed to hear Azura's voice again. "Today, I feel great, better than ever." The two great Demon King-level referees stared in astonishment at the scene. When the image in front of their eyes froze, they instinctively wanted to intervene. But at that moment, it seemed everything had already ended. It wasn't the sound of a collision between fighters, but the sound of Meng Didi falling from the sky, crashing heavily onto the ground. The broken blood-slaughter demon spear fell to the ground, turning into dark metal, devoid of any demonic aura. A vast and mighty aura soared into the sky, sweeping away the malevolent aura brought by the blood-slaughter demon spear. The entire sky cleared up. The tribulation clouds that had once more started to form silently dissipated. The entire arena was silent. All the spectators felt as if they didn't know what had happened. In fact, they truly didn't understand why everything had suddenly changed. How had Meng Didi, who clearly had the upper hand and wielded a powerful divine weapon, been suddenly defeated? Down on the stage, Meng Didi seemed like he was trying to move, but in fact his body was just twitching, and he was unconscious. Fortunately, the blood-slaughter demon spear had blocked most of the attack, preventing his body from being split in two. Even so, his condition was dire and he was bleeding like a fountain. The blood-slaughter demon spear was his life weapon, perfectly integrated with his body and spirit. Its destruction, along with the dispelling of its demonic and vengeful aura, caused a fundamental injury to him, even causing the horn on his head to crack. A dark figure suddenly appeared on the stage, and a purple-black halo enveloped Meng Didi. At the same time, a gloomy gaze fell upon Mei Gongzi, who stood there with closed eyes and a pale face. The next instant, however, another person appeared in front of Mei Gongzi, protecting her. It was Tang San. A terrifying pressure surged forth like a tidal wave, crashing down on Tang San and Mei Gongzi. "Do you intend to sully the fairness of the ancestral court?" A cold voice rang out, followed by a surge of murderous aura descending from the sky, tearing through the immense pressure and standing in front of Tang San and Mei Gongzi. Even with the newcomer facing away from him, Tang San could feel the terrifying and domineering killing intent. The one who had appeared beside Meng Didi was naturally his grandfather, the eternal night sovereign tenebrous demon emperor. and standing in front of Tang San and Mei Gongzi was the heaven-crossing, earth-piercing White Tiger Demon Emperor. These two Demon Emperors were ranked 5th and 6th, respectively. The tenebrous Demon Emperor's voice was as cold as a glacier. I am sullying it? Then how about them? The White Tiger Demon Emperor was unperturbed. This is a competition, and a competitor's skill turned out to be inferior to another's. I don't see where the problem is. Do you know he is the dragon race's chosen one? Said the tenebrous Demon Emperor. His gaze shifted to the main VIP box, where the ancestral court's strongest and the current leader of the dragon race was seated. I only know that this competition is held under the auspices of the ancestral court, and the competition must be fair. Everyone is watching you, so what are you planning to do? The tenebrous Demon Emperor looked at Meng Didi, who lay on the ground with his body still twitching. He pressed his right hand in the air, and a dark halo enveloped Meng Didi. He's crippled, and it will be tough for him to ever reach godhood. This loss will be accounted for. The surrounding air suddenly darkened, and in the next instant, the tenebrous Demon Emperor vanished into thin air. A match that ended with two Demon Emperors confronting each other was extremely rare in the history of the Ancestral Court Elite competition. The tenebrous Demon Emperor had to leave, not because he was afraid of the White Tiger Demon Emperor, even though the latter was ranked higher, but because he was indeed in the wrong. Under the watchful eyes of the entire Ancestral Court, he couldn't do anything. But enmity had been evidently forged. The Peacock Demon Clan had gained another powerful enemy. The White Tiger Demon Emperor turned around and looked at his granddaughter. At this moment, Mei Gongzi had fallen unconscious and was being held by Azura. The visible half of Azura's face was pale as paper. The White Tiger Demon Emperor frowned but didn't say anything. He simply nodded and vanished. It was only then that the audience erupted in an uproar. The Peacock Princess and Azura actually won, defeating the Meng Didi and Meng Deshi team in spite of the latter borrowing the power of Tribulation Lightning and demonic weapons to fully unleash their strength. What intrigued the audience the most was the red light that destroyed Meng Didi's divine weapon. To block and suppress a divine weapon, one could rely on overwhelming strength, but destroying one completely was nowhere near as simple. Moreover, it was clear that the power of Azura and the Peacock Princess didn't remotely count as overwhelming when they faced someone like Meng Didi. This suggested that she actually might possess a divine artifact even stronger than the Blood Slaughter Demon Spear, and it was this divine artifact that had unleashed a burst of power, destroying the demonic weapon and severely injuring Meng Didi. When did the Peacock Demon Clan's vaults get so deep? Meng Didi had been nurtured with immense care and a mountain of resources not just by his clan, but by the entire dragon race. No matter what, the foundation of the Peacock Demon Clan couldn't compare to that of the dragon race. The beams of blood-red light were both incredibly clear, one filled with hatred and negativity, the other with vast majesty and a killing intent carrying a righteous aura that cleansed the demonic energy, clearing the heavens and earth. This was not something an ordinary divine item could achieve. Even the emperors in the VIP boxes were astonished. As he carried Mei Gongzi down from the arena, Tang San's face regained a bit of color. He looked down at the person in his arms. She was just exhausted in terms of spiritual power and bloodline power, nothing serious. A bit of rest and she would be all good. What was that red light? Nobody else knew but him. It originally belonged to Mei Gongzi, and also to him. In Tang San's previous life, he held the seat of Sea God that came with a powerful divine artifact, the Sea God's Trident. After years of nurturing, the Sea God's Trident further evolved into a transcendent divine artifact, the peak of power among items. Besides the Sea God's Trident, Tang San actually had another divine artifact, which was also the mark of a powerful divine seat. Before he even became a god king as the Sea God, the previous holder of this divine position had already become a god king and possibly the strongest god king in terms of individual combat prowess, the Azura God. The Azura God possessed a divine sword that governed the laws of the god realm, and he had the right and duty to bestow judgment upon anyone in the god realm. The powerful Azura God later intended to give his divine seat and the Azura sword to Tang San, but the Sea God had been first to make contact, and Tang San didn't have the ability to hold two divine seats simultaneously. Ultimately, the Azura God's seat was passed on to Shao Wu on behalf of Tang San, allowing him to borrow the Azura God's power when necessary. As his divine consciousness gradually recovered, Tang San's overall abilities were also restored. Besides the mysterious circles of heaven, he could also utilize some of his other past life abilities. Mei Gongzi had lost all memories of her past life after reincarnation, but her bond with the transcendent divine artifact remained and a connection could be re-established through Tang San's divine consciousness. Tang San made use of this her past connection, borrowing a sliver of the Azura Sword's power to defeat Meng Didi. In his past life, before Xiao Wu's fall, Tang San tried everything to save his wife's life but ultimately failed. Helpless, he used all means to ensure his wife would successfully reincarnate and her spirit would not dissipate. Finally, he left a trace of the Azura Sword's divine intent in Xiao Wu's true spirit. A spirit could not contain a divine artifact per se, but this trace of aura actually protected her true spirit. This ensured her successful reincarnation and endowed her new body with exceptional talent. In particular, a natural affinity for using the sword. Under the intense pressure of Meng Didi's assault, Tang San made contact with the trace of divine intent hidden deep within Mei Gongzi's soul, enabling her to establish communication with the Azura Sword and borrow a fraction of its power from afar. Although this action would attract attention, the benefits were immense. First, it ensured victory over Meng Didi. No matter how powerful the Bloodslaughter Demon Spear was, it was nothing before the Azura Sword. Not to mention the sword's righteous judgment ability was highly effective against demonic weapons. Second, invoking this trace of divine intent allowed Mei Gongzi to re-establish communication with the Azura Sword. The sword would be able to pinpoint her location and come to find her. Its divine intent would grow stronger as it approached, and its protection would increase. And once this transcendent divine artifact truly arrived by Mei Gongzi's side, even emperors would find it difficult to harm her. This plane was certainly strong, but its divine artifacts still fell short compared to the divine artifacts of an actual divine realm, not to mention transcendent ones. To re-establish communication between Mei Gongzi and the sword, Tang San had consumed a significant amount of his divine consciousness, but he didn't mind. He preferred to help Mei Gongzi communicate with the Azura Sword rather than summoning his own transcendent divine artifact. To him, nothing was more important than protecting Mei Gongzi. In his previous life, he had failed to protect Xiao Wu, leading to her eventual fall. In this life, the way he viewed things was completely different. He used to have many responsibilities, as he had to protect his divine realm, among other things. But in this life, when he was reborn and saw Mei Gongzi for the first time, he had already decided to protect only her. Nothing else mattered. And once this connection was set, it would be a matter of course for Mei Gongzi to become a god. If the Tribulation Lightning wanted to harm her, it would have to contend with the sword intent of the Azura Sword. In her unconscious state, Mei Gongzi looked very peaceful, her delicate face a bit pale. Looking at her flawless beauty, all Tang San wanted was to lean down and kiss her. Of course, it was just a thought. He would wait until she came to him of her own free will. When he walked down from the arena, the Peacock Great Demon King was already waiting there, wearing a peculiar expression. Seeing Tang San carrying Mei Gongzi down, he quickly stepped forward and put a pill into Mei Gongzi's mouth. Tang San recognized it as the same kind that had been given to him before. Although it was somewhat extravagant to use this on Mei Gongzi, since she wasn't really injured, Tang San had no intention of stopping it. To him, using any treasure for Mei Gongzi was worth it. The Peacock Great Demon King did not take Mei Gongzi from Tang San, but instead waved his right hand. A silver light enveloped both Tang San and Mei Gongzi, and in a flash, they swiftly left the scene. When they reappeared, they were in a place unfamiliar to Tang San. Spacious room with a faint scent of incense. The Peacock Great Demon King didn't speak but pointed to a side door. Understanding, Tang San carried Mei Gongzi into the room there, carefully placing her on the bed and covering her with a blanket. He arranged her long hair to one side, ensuring she was comfortable, before stepping out and gently closing the door. The Peacock Great Demon King still stood in the living room, calmly watching as Tang San did everything. "You are very mysterious," said Tang San's future father-in-law. Tang San looked at him calmly and replied, "There's nothing mysterious about it. Everything I do is to protect her." The Peacock Great Demon King nodded. "I believe you. I don't know why you're doing this or where your feelings come from, but I trust you." As he spoke, he pointed to a nearby sofa, indicating for Tang San to sit down. Tang San did not stand on ceremony and went to sit on the sofa. The Peacock Great Demon King murmured, "I originally had only a 40 to 50% chance, but after today's battle, it should be over 70%. Tang San didn't ask what he meant, because he knew that the Peacock Great Demon King had brought him here to tell him something important. Explanations would follow in due time. The Peacock Great Demon King lifted his head, his eyes blazing as he looked at Tang San, and said, "I don't have much time left. My greatest regret in this life is not being able to become an emperor, not inheriting the legacy of my ancestors, not leading the Peacock Demon clan back to the pinnacle. This wish may now depend on little Mei. With you by her side, I feel increasingly assured. I don't know who you are and why you're doing this, but I now believe in you. Perhaps you only made contact with her because the Redemption Society ordered you to, but I can see that you genuinely care for her. Otherwise, you wouldn't have made a blood oath so easily. I brought you here today because there are things you need to know that are crucial for her future, as well as the resurgence of the Peacock Demon clan and your own survival. If you truly care for her, then stay by her side and help her lead. Help her become the true master of Kali City. Help her restore the glory of the Peacock Demon clan. In doing so, you will also help humankind. Tang San looked calmly at the Peacock Great Demon King, the clan leader whose life essence was continuously draining. At this moment, he sensed a bit of sincerity from him. The Peacock Great Demon King's gaze was as deep as the sea, and when he spoke about his limited time, there was no regret or reluctance. It was as if he was just talking about an ordinary matter. Please go ahead, Tang San said. The Peacock Great Demon King took a deep breath and said, I don't know your origins, but that doesn't matter. Your abilities are the strongest I've seen among humans, and there are many mysterious aspects about you. I suppose you are a talent nurtured with great effort by the Redemption Society. Your only shortcoming is that you have no foundation, no backing. The Redemption Society cannot provide these things for you, but Kali City can. Tang San nodded lightly. Little Mei carries the bloodline of our Peacock Demon clan and is my designated successor. After this ancestral court elite competition, her prestige will greatly increase, both in Kali City and here in the ancestral court, minimizing the resistance she will face when inheriting the throne. Her only issue is having human blood. No one with human blood has ever become the master of a main city. The pressure she will face in the future will be massive. And this pressure, I will need you to help her bear. The Peacock Great Demon King's voice grew much lower. Before I leave, I've prepared 3 gifts for you. First is the support of the upper echelons within Kali City. I've ruled Kali City for many years and I have conducted a thorough purge. Now, the major clans of the city are more or less united. With this ancestral court elite competition, Little Mei gaining their support should not be an issue. This is especially the case for the Golden Deers and Etherhorn Deers. They have long been intertwined with the Peacock Demon clan in both prosperity and decline. They are smart and will see from this competition that Little Mei inheriting the throne is the best choice. However, internal clan issues will be a bit troublesome. Even though Little Mei has gained the approval of the Celestial Plume and passed the ancestral test, the internal factions in the clan won't abandon their ambitions and unite just because I say so. What I can do is ensure that the Great Demon Kings won't intervene lightly. You need to work with Little Mei to clear the other obstacles, but I will ask you not to resort to excessive killing. Do you understand what I mean? Tang San nodded slowly. I understand. The Peacock Great Demon King continued. The second gift relates to Little Mei's mother. She is also the saintess of your Redemption Society, right? She was once dearly loved by her father, the White Tiger Demon Emperor, but she fled from an arranged marriage, which led her to leave the ancestral court. Otherwise, she would still be the little princess of the White Tiger Demon Emperor. However, today the White Tiger Demon Emperor stepped forward to protect you. This shows that he still acknowledges both Su Qin and Little Mei. After all, the White Tigers are very few since the lineage itself is a mutation, and the White Tiger Demon Emperor has no successor. Your Lion Tiger clan companion, from my observations, has already been targeted by the lion race. The tiger demons will not sit idly by, but their true leader is the White Tiger Demon Emperor. Little Mei's performance today clearly outshines your companions. Although her human bloodline is an issue, it doesn't exclude the possibility of gaining the White Tiger Demon Emperor's support. This depends on how you communicate with him in the future. If you can gain the White Tiger Demon Emperor's support, then Little Mei's position as the City Lord will be more than half secure. This will also greatly benefit your standing in the ancestral court. Tang San nodded again, understanding what the Peacock Great Demon King was getting at. The White Tiger Demon Emperor was a crucial ally they needed to win over for Kali City's future. If this Demon Emperor supported Mei Gongzi's succession, his presence held a lot of weight in a lot of matters. The Peacock Great Demon King paused briefly before continuing. The biggest challenge you'll face in the future is the Ancestral Court Council's deliberation. When someone wants to take over a city, they need the approval of the Ancestral Court Council. For powerful clans, especially those with a demon emperor backing them, the council deliberation is just a formality. But for a clan like ours, without an emperor, it's a fierce struggle. Only by ensuring a favorable vote from the Ancestral Court Council can Little May rightfully become the City Lord. And according to the Ancestral Court's rules, within a year of inheriting the City Lord position, Little May needs to report to the Ancestral Court and undergo a trial to confirm her qualification as the ruler of Kali City. She needs the agreement of at least half of the Demon Emperors to inherit the position. Tang San asked, "So, only the Demon Emperors need to vote, and it doesn't involve the Nymph Emperors? We're not in the same country. The nymphs can't meddle in the internal affairs of the demons. Of course, gaining support from some Nymph Emperors would certainly help, but you have to be aware of the potential backlash. The Nymph races and the Demon races are ostensibly united, but they are actually in constant competition, especially since the Nymphs are currently in a weaker position. The Demon races would naturally be reluctant to allow them to meddle in the internal affairs of the Empyrean Dominion. With things being as they are, out of the 9 Demon Emperors, Little May needs the support of at least 5 to secure the succession." The Peacock Great Demon King furrowed his brows, clearly showing some concern in his eyes. "Today, you heavily injured Meng Didi, and that has deeply offended the dragon race. I don't know what that red light was, but I'm certain it wasn't Little May's power. It was yours, right? It must be an extraordinary divine artifact. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been able to sever the blood slaughter demon spear. That spear has been with the Tenebrous Dragon clan for countless years and was once the weapon of the Tenebrous Demon Emperor himself. When it was passed down to Meng Didi, it was already famous, and its significance as an heirloom cannot be understated. Yet this weapon was broken by your hand, and you've even potentially severed Meng Didi's path to further advancement. You saved Little May, and you should not regret that move. But the fact of the matter is that you've created a powerful enemy. After all, among the 9 Demon Emperors, the Crystal Demon Emperor and the Tenebrous Demon Emperor are both from the dragon race. The possibility of them supporting you is practically non-existent. Although the Crystal Demon Emperor doesn't participate much in Ancestral Court's affairs, as long as he is alive, he remains the strongest being on the demon continent. Everyone has to consider his stance." Hearing him mention the Crystal Demon Emperor, Tang San couldn't help but feel a strange sensation. The Peacock Great Demon King had every reason to believe that the Crystal Demon Emperor would not help his daughter, but Tang San was not so certain. Crystalline had hatched and seemed to be growing splendidly, although she was mostly asleep. And with her in between, it was hard to say what the future relationship with the Crystal Demon Emperor would be like. Moreover, the latter was the only one who had a rough idea of how many bloodlines Tang San possessed. Although Tang San was wary of him, for some reason, he felt that the Crystal Demon Emperor didn't harbor any hostility. The Peacock Great Demon King continued, "Out of the 9, 2 are out of the question. There are 7 left, and among these 7, you must gain the support of 5. This is very difficult indeed. The attitude of the Celestial Fox Demon Emperor is crucial. He is the true ruler of the Ancestral Court and the Master of Fate. To successfully inherit the position of City Lord, you must obtain his support. If he decides to oppose you, then most of the other Demon Emperors are likely to follow suit. Conversely, if he supports you, the more neutral Demon Emperors are also likely to do the same. With that in mind, the Celestial Fox Demon Emperor is the one you must actively seek in the future. As for how to establish a good relationship with him, that entirely depends on yourselves. But I can tell you that the Celestial Fox Demon Emperor loves talent. If you can win at least one championship this time, the likelihood of gaining his support will greatly increase. He has always considered the development of the demons and nymphs alike as his responsibility, and he will support anything that benefits both. The Celestial Foxes themselves aren't anything special in terms of direct combat. So how could they become a top clan? It is because they have always made the right investments in various powerful beings. All the Demon Emperors, and even the Nymph Emperors, have benefited in one way or another from the Celestial Fox Demon Emperor. The Celestial Fox clan will naturally continue to do so in their legacy. In any case, as long as you can win the championship, the Celestial Fox Demon Emperor's support for you will not be criticized. You will have earned this through your own strength. If you can secure the support of the Celestial Fox Demon Emperor, along with the White Tiger Demon Emperor, you'll have the foundation you need to go through the evaluation of the Council. The support of the Celestial Fox Demon Emperor can offset the influence of the Crystal Demon Emperor, and although the White Tiger Demon Emperor is not very well liked, his actual combat power might be even stronger than his ranking suggests. It is said that he once fought the Undying Demon Emperor to a draw. With the support of these two, your chances of gaining the support of the other Demon Emperors will be higher. The one who will definitely oppose you without a second thought is the Undying Demon Emperor. In ancient times, the clans of the Phoenix race and our Peacock Demon clan have always competed for the title of King of all birds. When our Peacock Demon clan had an emperor that held the secrets of heaven, we fully suppressed them. Obviously, the Undying Demon Emperor has little wish for those times to return. In other words, with things as they are, at least 3 demon emperors will oppose you. A wry smile appeared on Tang San's face. Who knew what the other emperors would say? As for the Celestial Fox Demon Emperor that the Peacock Great Demon King mentioned, it was the one Tang San least wanted to face. Before he regained his God King powers, the less he dealt with this one, the better. Otherwise, it would mean significant trouble if his secrets were discovered. Helping Mei Gongzi inherit the position of Lord of Kali City seemed more difficult than he had initially imagined. The Peacock Great Demon King paused for a moment, then continued, I am actually quite confident about getting the Celestial Fox's support. The main reason is that Mei Gongzi has truly mastered the Celestial Plume and obtained the clan's heritage. There is an old saying in the ancestral court, the Celestial Fox controls fate, while the Peacock peers into the secrets of the heavens. These two things work perfectly in conjunction. Fate connects the present to the future, while knowing the so-called secrets of heaven is knowing the future. They naturally complement each other. The Celestial Fox Demon Emperor actually truly began to rule the ancestral court during the time of my ancestor, the Peacock Demon Emperor. When fate and destiny combine, they can control the future of the demon and nymph races. Little Mei can now glimpse the secrets of the heavens, and the Celestial Fox Demon Emperor understands better than anyone the benefits of having such an ally for the Celestial Fox clan. It would also allow him to have a much better grasp on the ancestral court. Tang San's eyes narrowed. Can the Celestial Plume really see the future? The Peacock Great Demon King nodded and said, yes, but it requires the user to become a god first. It needs divine consciousness and also life force. Excessive use can damage one's essence. This is why my ancestor, the Peacock Demon Emperor, had a short lifespan. She peered too much into destiny. Hearing this, Tang San immediately frowned. Peering into the secrets of heaven inevitably led to the backlash from said heaven. This was an extremely troublesome matter. The heavenly ways were complex, elusive, and mysterious. They were, after all, the fundamental power that organized the universe. Even when he was a god king and seemingly in control of everything, he couldn't save Xiao Wu's life because her condition was precisely a result of such a backlash. She used her body to take on that backlash while helping him. Therefore, anything involving this aspect triggered a strong reaction in Tang San. Perhaps in the eyes of the Peacock Great Demon King, the ability of the Celestial Plume to peer into destiny was a divine technique, but to Tang San, it was no different from unleashing a terrifying savage beast to defend you from a much weaker savage beast. He would never let Mei Gongzi use it to peer into the secrets of heaven. No, this wasn't safe. He had to find a way to destroy the Celestial Plume. He could not allow it to exist. Of course, if the Peacock Great Demon King knew what Tang San was thinking, he would be furious. The Celestial Plume was the supreme divine artifact of his clan, and the way their legacy was passed on. The Peacock Great Demon King continued, once you have the support of the Celestial Fox Demon Emperor, the chances of success are quite high. Now, with that said, I mentioned earlier that I have prepared 3 gifts for you, but I only told you about 2. As for the 3rd gift, do not tell Mei Gongzi, or at least not now. Wait until she has firmly secured the position of City Lord, and then consult her mother first. Tang San was taken aback. What do you mean? The Peacock Great Demon King's eyes narrowed slightly. The next moment, he began to communicate with Tang San through voice transmission. Tang San had been perfectly calm up until now, even as he heard about the secrets of heaven and whatnot. As the Peacock Great Demon King spoke inside his head, though his eyes widened, and his expression immediately betrayed the immense shock he was feeling. Seeing his expression, the Peacock Great Demon King's lips curled up slightly. Clearly, he was rather pleased to see the unperturbable Azura lose composure. Now you understand why I chose Little Mei as my successor, right? There is absolutely no way anybody expects this, and this is my real trump card. You made that blood oath and you've shown enough strength, so you are qualified to know this secret. You're also smart, so you should know how to use it. Before I die, I will reveal this trump card and lay the groundwork for you. At this moment, Tang San was indeed exactly as shocked as he appeared. In his mind, the majestic and dignified person in front of him had completely transformed into what humans usually called a scheming bastard. It was painfully clear that despite approaching death, This peerless great demon king could still play everyone around him like a fiddle. Since you have this trump card, why didn't you reveal it earlier? Tang San couldn't help but ask. The peacock great demon king replied calmly. I have my pride. For the sake of my clan, I can certainly do things I dislike, but from my own perspective, I don't want to use such means. Life and death are trivial, we just do what we must. In truth, there are no winners among us. Tang Sen looked at his interlocutor with a complex expression, not knowing what to say for a moment. However, he couldn't help but gain more respect for him. This peacock great demon king truly was a legendary figure. The third gift surprised even a seasoned strategist like Tang San. He had devised quite a few successful schemes himself, yet this approach still gave him a sense of amazement. No wonder the old peacock could remain calm when faced with life and death and the immense turmoil in Kali City. This trump card was truly formidable. Remember everything I've told you today. In the upcoming competitions, keep working hard and give it your all. You must win a championship. Your path should be clear after defeating the Meng Didi duo in the doubles competition, and you're most definitely in the top 4 in the individual competition. Mei Gongzi should have no problem entering the top 4, either. Then it will depend on the subsequent matches. Currently, your situation looks perfectly favorable, but you must remain cautious. Because you defeated Meng Didi, your next opponents might receive more support from their races. Can you use that power again? Tang San shook his head. The power of the Azura sword was not easy to wield. Using it this time had cost Tang San dearly. He had consumed a massive amount of his divine consciousness, merging it with the seed left in Mei Gongzi's soul in order to activate the divine intent. The process didn't do much to Mei Gongzi, but it most certainly drained Tang San. On the bright side, the greatest benefit was re-establishing communication between Mei Gongzi and the Azura sword, and setting a coordinate for the sword. With this coordinate, the sword would come from distant space to meet her. The next time they wanted to use the sword's power, Mei Gongzi would need to be a god. But by that time, they could provide the sword with a much more accurate location and speed up its arrival. The peacock great demon king nodded and said, Time waits for no one. I can't give you much time. After the ancestral court elite competition ends, I will take you back to Kali City immediately to prepare everything for her succession. The next 1 to 3 months will likely be my last. While your performance has created greater possibilities for the future, it has also shortened our preparation time. So be prepared. I understand. But if possible, I hope you can delay as long as possible, allowing me to make more thorough preparations. How much time do you need? Tang San smiled wryly. 3 months would only allow me to make some basic preparations. If we had a year, it would be much better. In a year, she should be able to reach the 10th order. Once she becomes a god, she will have a much better chance of protecting herself. The peacock great demon king nodded and said, I might be able to get you a year. I'll try in any case, but by then I will likely be gone. The ancestral court council meeting will have to depend on you. Tang San nodded in response. Understood. All right, there's not much I can give you. I feel you don't need anything from me, but I can tell that you genuinely like Mei Gongzi. I'm not a spring chicken myself, and a man's eyes don't lie. She might not even realize it, but when you look at her, your eyes are filled with emotions only men understand. Affection, love, a desire to protect. That's why you were willing to make a blood oath for her, isn't it? It somehow seems to me as if you've known her for a long time. Tang San nodded again. You're not entirely wrong. In this world, there's nothing more important to me than protecting her. As long as I'm alive, no one can harm her. The peacock great demon king said, I only hope that in the future, when you both truly grow up, you will treat my clan well. As you promised, the position of the peacock demon clan leader should be passed down to one of the outstanding juniors of my clan. You will have to lend a hand when it comes to nurturing them. In the future, I will take her with me and leave this place altogether. The Peacock Demon Clan will belong only to the members of the Peacock Demon Clan. The Peacock Great Demon King was obviously surprised by his words and hesitated for a moment, but then nodded. I don't know why, but I find your words trustworthy. Tang San smiled slightly. Every word I say is sincere. Looking at the masked young man in front of him, the Peacock Great Demon King suddenly felt a strange sense that this young junior seemed to be on equal footing with him at this moment. In fact, in that instant, Azura's gaze made him feel as if a majestic demon emperor was sitting before him, looking down upon everything from a place nobody could reach. When Tang San returned to the White Tiger Grand Hotel, the astonishment in his heart hadn't completely faded. The last gift mentioned by the Peacock Great Demon King had shocked him greatly. It was something he had never anticipated, not even a bit. He just hoped that it wouldn't affect Mei Gongzi's emotions in the future. There was also the issue of the celestial plume. It was not just a spatial artifact but also had the ability to peer into the secrets of heaven. This was problematic. Tang San was well aware of what scrutinizing destiny entailed. This artifact was not allowed to exist. Although losing it would affect Mei Gongzi's control over spatial power, once the Azura Sword arrived, it would offer her power far superior to the Celestial Plume. The problem was how to deal with the Celestial Plume in the short term. For now, it couldn't be destroyed. Otherwise, the Peacock Demon Clan would instantly turn hostile. The Peacock Great Demon King's frankness today had clarified Tang San's thoughts considerably, giving him more confidence. It was just as the man had said. Time waited for no one. After the competition, they had to return to Kali City immediately to make some plans. They had to get stronger, and they had to get stronger now. He couldn't wait for his companions to grow. He had to quickly help Mei Gongzi improve her cultivation. Breaking through to the 10th Order himself was not something that could be done in a short time, but helping Mei Gongzi advance would be much easier. With a trace of divine intent from the Azura Sword, coupled with the power of the Celestial Plume and Mei Gongzi's own foundation, she should have no problem passing the tribulation. As for himself, he needed to establish that teleportation array to the ancestral court he had been thinking of. In order to truly become stronger and make his own preparations for advancement, the complete fusion of Yin-Yang energy and the Blue-Silver Emperor, in other words, creating a transcendent bloodline, was essential. Hence, he needed to visit the Sunborn Sacred Mountain and the Earthshade Sacred Mountain regularly. The ancestral court was indeed an excellent place for cultivation. For now, he decided to focus on finishing the competition. Returning to the cultivation room, Tang San sat cross-legged and meditated. Although waking up that seed of divine intent greatly depleted his divine consciousness, there were benefits as well. The Azura Sword he himself had once wielded was a transcendent divine artifact. After all, the stimulation it gave to his divine consciousness allowed it to actually elevate. At the same time, his sea of consciousness expanded. This meant his divine consciousness was temporarily weakened, but the space for his spiritual power had increased, causing his spiritual power to swell significantly. He needed to compress it again to prevent a breakthrough, and then condense some more of it. His physical strength and internal energy had been enhanced after merging with the Wind Dragon bloodline, and with this breakthrough in spiritual power, his cultivation had comprehensively improved. Tang San was not in a hurry to continue breaking through. Instead, he wanted to stabilize his cultivation. The bloodline imprints of the Behemoth and the Golden Mammoth were still waiting for him to merge them. In fact, if these two bloodlines could be fused successfully, they might produce a transcendent bloodline as well. However, the difficulty of merging them would undoubtedly be immense. Both were first-tier bloodlines, and though they shared some characteristics, they also had many differences. Merging them into one was no easy task. Of course, if he was successful, Tang San's physical strength would become the strongest below godhood. Even ordinary gods would be simply unable to compare in terms of pure physical strength. Once his physical strength increased, he could consider working on the Yin-Yang energy as well. At the same time, he would need to acquire the necessary bloodlines in advance and enhance the Blue-Silver Emperor itself. These preparations were also troublesome, requiring time and opportunity. The night passed without incident. The next morning, Tang San awoke from meditation and called Mei Gongzi. Her voice immediately came through. "How are you? Is your physical condition okay?" Tang San asked. Although he knew Mei Gongzi should be fine, he couldn't help but be concerned. He had to hear it from her to feel reassured. "I'm feeling great. Yesterday felt like just a nap. Did we really win? I still can't believe it. Big brother, how did you do it?" Tang San smiled and said, "You'll find out later. Can you compete today?" "No problem. Actually, I feel better than ever. My spiritual power seems to have increased a lot all of a sudden. Even my body seems to have undergone some changes. Last night I had a long dream. It felt like I saw many things, and when I woke up this morning, I realized I had been crying. But I can't remember what the dream was about no matter how hard I try." Hearing this, Tang San's heart ached. He said softly and tenderly, "If you can't remember, don't force it. Maybe you'll recall it later. Meng Didi was seriously injured yesterday, so I don't think I have a match today. I'll come to cheer you on." Meng Didi's injuries from yesterday definitely wouldn't allow him to continue in the competition. so Tang San's match to enter the semifinals was essentially resolved. He was the first to advance to the semifinals in the individual competition. On the other hand, both Big Cat and Mei Gongzi had to face strong opponents. Only by defeating them could they join him in the semifinals. After ending the call, Tang San went to the dining room and found his companions waiting for him. When they saw Tang San, everyone's expressions turned somewhat strange, including Zhang Haoshuan's. Little Tang, I heard. You won yesterday?
Du B à sked somewhat incertainly.
You made it to the top 8 in the individual competition, and you also made it to the top 8 in the doubles. And your next opponent is out, so you're practically in the semifinals now. Tang San sat down and smiled. I suppose. Dubai shook his head, clearly shocked. I always knew you were strong, but when did you become this strong? Take me under your wing, little Tang. Tang San said with a wry smile. You think I can just feed you skill by the spoonful? You should cultivate and practice by yourself and get better. When the right opportunity comes, it will naturally help you. Help us out too, Guli couldn't help but say. Seeing everyone's expressions, Tang San didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Seriously, guys, we are partners, so of course I'll help you. But we can't rush things. Let's take it step by step. Don't worry, we've gained a lot of good things from the ancestral court this time. After the competition, we'll go back home as soon as we can and figure out how to use these things to grow stronger. Everyone nodded, their faces showing clear excitement. At this moment, Zhang Haoshuan looked at Tang San and transmitted, "The high-level members of the organization want to meet you." Tang San's heart stirred. Do they know I'm part of the organization? I haven't told them yet, but they know you're from Kali City. After all, you've been fighting alongside Mei Gongzi. They've asked me to arrange a meeting with you and the high-level members of the organization. Tang San understood that the Redemption Society had seen his strength and wanted to recruit him. Shaking his head, he said, "Not now. I don't have time to deal with the organization's matters at the moment. After the competition, I will immediately return to Kali City with Mei Gongzi to prepare for her succession as City Lord. Nothing is more important than that. How about this, Master? You tell the organization that I am Mei Gongzi's vassal, bound by a blood oath, and sworn to be loyal to her. I only listen to her." Zhang Haoshuan was taken aback for a moment, but then he nodded in understanding. That's actually a good idea. Mei Gongzi's excellent performance in this competition will surely increase her reputation within the organization. Those who were skeptical about her inheriting the City Lord position are now starting to support her. I'll convey your message, but you have been part of the organization for a long time. Don't you have any future plans within the organization? I told you before, I believe you are the future of humankind. You did, Master, but you know as well as I do that Kali City will be very important for us humans. Only by controlling Kali City can we secure enough living space for our kind. Otherwise, everything is just empty talk. Let me first help Mei Gongzi stabilize her position. Then we can talk to the organization about building Kali City into a haven for humans. As long as we establish a foothold there, there will be opportunities in the future for humans. We will not be bullied for much longer. Zhang Haoshuan nodded. To be honest, when the organization made plans for Kali City in the early years, we never thought it could actually succeed. At that time, the estimated probability was less than 1%. It was a shot in the dark, basically, and nobody expected that it would actually hit something. You're right, if we can take Kali City, it will be a milestone for both the organization and humans Gem-era. Exactly. Thank you for understanding, Master. Alright, hurry up and eat. You're going to the competition venue. Today, both Big Cat and Mei Gongzi have matches. I want to go watch and cheer for them. After all, their matches are very important. After having breakfast, Tang San went to the Ancestral Court Grand Plaza again. To avoid being recognized, he wore a hooded coat and pulled the hood over his face. After all, his masked appearance was too easily recognizable. The Ancestral Court Grand Plaza was, as usual, packed with people due to the ongoing matches. Yesterday's 2-on-2 battle was still the hot topic among the spectators. After the battle between the Azura Peacock Pair 1 and the Tenebrous Dragon Duo, although the subsequent 2-on-2 matches were exciting and intense, the fighters were noticeably weaker. This Azura Peacock pair had now truly become the most eye-catching presence in the audience's eyes. Azura and the Peacock Princess were undoubtedly the biggest dark horses of this competition. After yesterday's matches, both of them had entered the quarterfinals of the individual matches. Moreover, Azura's opponent in today's match would be Meng Didi. After yesterday's match, It was clear that he would be unable to continue competing today. In other words, Azura had already advanced to the semifinals. This meant that, at worst, they would finish as a semifinalist and a quarterfinalist, respectively, in the individual matches. On the other hand, they had already defeated the biggest favorites in the doubles competition. Having defeated the most favored team and seemingly without significant injuries, they undoubtedly became the new favorites in place of the previous ones. In the individual matches, with the former favorite Meng Didi out of the picture, Mei Gongxi's odds now became the highest of all competitors. After all, in the eyes of all the spectators, it was Mei Gongxi who had crushed Meng Didi yesterday. Therefore, she was the favorite in today's match. Almost all the spectators believed that as long as Mei Gongxi was not too injured or exhausted from yesterday's doubles match, she would surely win today's quarterfinal and advance to the next round. Mei Gongxi's stunning beauty, the incredible strength she displayed in the matches, and her status as the heir of the Peacock Demon Clan instantly made both her and the Peacock Demon Clan the hottest topics. Azura's situation was quite different. In the doubles match, he had simply supported Mei Gongxi and never made a move himself. Although everyone understood that Mei Gongxi's ability to display such immense strength was in no small part due to his help, Mei Gongxi was the one who controlled space, used the Peacock Demon Clan's divine artifact, and somehow delivered a cataclysmic blow to end the match. Therefore, everyone automatically assumed that Azura's role in the doubles match was just that of an assistant. 1. The Ross used the term 3-5 combo, but the problem is that nobody knows this word apart from Tang San. It would also be very weird for them to have registered under this name, so we are replacing the term with something that could have been invented by the spectators. Of course, advancing to the quarterfinals of the individual competition meant that no one would underestimate his strength anymore. However, his popularity was far behind Mei Gongxi's, and this was exactly what Tang San wanted. Mei Gongxi needed to inherit the position of Lord of Kali City and required not just individual prowess, but also prestige. As for him, he needed none of that. He just had to be the proverbial strong man standing behind a stronger woman. Tang San did not go to his waiting room but headed straight to the standby area. In the standby area, Big Cat stood there calmly with his eyes closed, resting. In the quarterfinals, he was in the first match, so he'd simply come here directly. Sensing Tang San's arrival, Big Cat opened his eyes. Upon seeing him, a knowing smile appeared on his usually calm and stern face. The two made eye contact, and Big Cat nodded at Tang San, who immediately grinned and gave him a thumbs up. Good luck. Big Cat's eyes were filled with intense fighting spirit. Heh, don't worry about me. I'll see you in the next round then, Tang San said with a smile, waving at his comrade before turning to leave. If Big Cat could defeat his opponent today, he would also enter the semifinals. His opponent in the semifinals would be Tang San. The two of them would compete for a spot in the final to contest the championship with the winner from the other half. He returned to the waiting rooms, but found that Mei Gongxi had not arrived yet. Her match was later, so it was fine for her to come a bit late. There were no other contestants around. This was no surprise. Big Cat and his opponent, who were set to have the first match, were already there waiting for it to start. Tang San's opponent was unlikely to fight him today, or any other day, so it was no shock that he wasn't around. As for the competitors in the second bracket, there was still time until their matches were supposed to begin, so none of them had shown up just yet. The communicator rang. Big brother, are you there? Already here, Tang San responded. A flash of silver light, and the next moment, Mei Gongxi was by his side. Her rosy face was glowing with healthy radiance, and her eyes were bright, showing that she was in excellent condition. However, there seemed to be a hint of confusion in her gaze, as if she was contemplating something. How are you feeling? Asked Tang San. It only made sense that she was confused. While she and Azura used that powerful move, she saw countless fragmented images, memories. She was certain that they were memories. She was also certain that the dream she had last night was related to those memories. Yet, she simply could not recall any of them. She didn't understand where these memories came from, but at the same time, she felt they were very, very important to her. It seemed that there was something in those memories that made her feel particularly close to them. So ever since waking up, she had been trying to recall them. But to her frustration, no matter how hard she tried, she just couldn't remember those things. At the same time, the celestial plume she now had control of and her incredible intuition made her even more certain that those memories were important. It was as if these memories were not received from somewhere, but rather an inherent part of her soul that was somehow awakened during yesterday's match. Big brother, what was that last move we used yesterday? Mei Gongzi asked Tang San through divine consciousness. The power of a divine weapon. A divine weapon? Can I see it? Not yet. I don't actually have it on me. I've only borrowed a bit of its power. When you become stronger, it will come to us. Then you'll be able to see it.
Mei Gongzi frowned.
I don't know why, but I feel divine weapon you mentioned is very important to me. It might even affect my future. Tang San chuckled. Why, of course it will. A powerful divine weapon can certainly make a difference. It could help you even more than the celestial plume. Mei Gongzi's eyes grew wide. Are you saying the divine weapon is for me? Although she didn't yet know what the divine weapon was, if just borrowing a bit of its power could sever the blood-slaughter devil spear, a renowned and powerful divine artifact, and severely injure Mengdidi, then this divine weapon had to be extraordinarily powerful. How could Azura simply give something like that to her? Tang San smiled gently. I've already sworn a blood oath to serve you. I'm already yours, so naturally, my things are yours too. It's a matter of course, don't you think? Mei Gongzi was stunned, feeling a strange sensation in her heart. He was saying these unbelievable things so casually that one might think he was talking about serving breakfast. Her affection for Azura had been growing day by day. This person was always by her side like an older brother, solving all kinds of problems for her. Although the time spent with him during this competition was not long, nowhere near as long as her previous seclusion, she could clearly feel that her progress was even faster than during her seclusion. It was almost unbelievable. Every hint he gave her, every bit of help, seemed more effective than even her father's advice. He was mysterious and powerful, so much so that she didn't know his limits. To others, it seemed like she had defeated Mengdidi in yesterday's battle, but she knew all too well that the victory wasn't hers. Whether it was the significant boost in her power, enabling her to exert her abilities much better, or the final decisive blow, it was all thanks to Azura. At the same time, she had another feeling, especially after sensing those fragments yesterday. In her consciousness, it seemed there was another person who was incredibly important to her, someone who should be by her side. Because of that presence, she felt her heart tighten, preventing her from fully releasing her emotions. I won't use that blood oath to bind you, Mei Gongzi said softly. Tang San smiled. You don't have to. Indeed, she didn't have to. He was only too willing. He actually knew that after the Azura sword connected to Mei Gongzi, she might have some sense of her past life. It was a feeling brought about by that seed of divine intent. However, she couldn't fully recover her memories, or at all, for that matter. She had undergone proper reincarnation, and not even a single shred of a memory was left. She may feel some familiar sensations, but remembering anything was simply impossible. Moreover, Tang San didn't want Mei Gongzi to regain her past life memories just yet. In this life, she was a new version of herself, even though her soul was the same as before. He didn't want her to choose to rekindle their past relationship solely because of those memories. Instead, he wanted her to fall in love with him in this life first, and then regain her memories. Only then would there be no regrets, and she could return to him wholeheartedly. Tang San was absolutely confident he could achieve this because he would always be by her side, caring for her in every possible way. No one in this world would treat her better than he would. Finally, Mei Gongzi changed the topic, feeling a bit shy. Big Cat is up. Indeed, at this moment, the contestants on both sides had stepped onto the massive stage. At first glance, Big Cat appeared no different from before, but upon closer inspection, one would notice his gaze showed much more confidence, and his demeanor was even more composed. Tang San could sense that after this match, it would likely be Big Cat's opportunity to undergo tribulation and ascend to godhood. It was clear that the Golden Lion clan had reached an agreement with him and were now acting as his supporters. At this moment, Big Cat's opponent also appeared. It was a humanoid figure, tall and slender, with a height similar to Big Cat but much thinner. Its skin had a faint golden sheen, and even its eyes were light gold. It had long arms and legs, and its entire body exuded a cold aura. What race is this? Tang San hadn't studied the opponent much, so at first glance, he couldn't tell what it was. This is an adamant nymph, one, Mei Gongzi whispered. Tang San's heart stirred. A descendant of the indestructible Adamant Nymph Emperor? Mei Gongzi nodded and said, Yes, the Adamant Nymph Emperor ranks relatively low among the Nymph Emperors, but it's a very troublesome opponent. Even the sky-splitting Demon Emperor couldn't do much against it. They are said to have dueled many times. Although the sky-splitting Demon Emperor technically won, he couldn't completely break through its defenses or injure it in any significant way. The sky-splitting demon emperor called it a stone in a latrine, both stinky and hard. This descendant of the adamant nymph emperor must be quite strong to make it into the quarterfinals. Tang San nodded slightly. The adamant nymph had an extremely tough body, and more importantly, strong immunity to pretty much all attributes. Whether it was water, fire, wind, or whatever else, none of it had any effect on it. However, Big Cat was actually quite fortunate to encounter such an opponent. His own abilities were adept at dealing with tough opponents. He didn't rely much on any elemental attribute. This match was inevitably going to degenerate into a slugfest, which was in fact perfect for Big Cat. Big Cat had likely acquired the God-slaying sword and could use this adamant nymph opponent to get used to it. Those like the adamant nymphs had no fancy tricks. Their matches were straightforward collisions, a contest of strength. With Big Cat's continuous improvements and the support of the lion race, he was vastly different from before. In a contest of pure strength, he had a significant chance of winning. The two opponents faced each other. As the referee announced the start of the match, this head-on battle began instantly. The Lion-Tiger Golden Force on Big Cat surged out almost immediately. The white-hot Golden Force was noticeably more solid, and the originally pure platinum color now faintly showed a hint of gold. Ordinary spectators might not see it, but Tang San, who also possessed Lion-Tiger Golden Force, noticed it instantly. He knew this was likely due to Big Cat's bloodline being influenced by the Golden Pill, which caused it to evolve to a certain extent. The Lion-Tiger Golden Force based on a golden bloodline was definitely more powerful than that of an ordinary lion-tiger. The lion race and the Golden Lion clan had made a significant investment this time. Yesterday, before parting ways with the Peacock Great Demon King, Tang San specifically asked him about the Golden Pill. The Peacock Great Demon King told him that the pill was basically divine medicine, but it came with major limitations. First, it had to be refined using the essence blood of a person with a golden bloodline, which was incredibly precious to begin with. Second, a single golden pill required almost the full amount of essence blood. This was because it could only be made from the blood of one individual. The blood could not be mixed. A golden pill was equivalent to the life of a golden-blooded individual. These were extremely rare even within the golden clans. Obviously, nobody was willing to use all their essence blood to create a pill for others. Thus, the ingredient was the essence blood of individuals who died an untimely death. Once their relatives and the clan approved it, this blood would be used to refine a golden pill. Third, the success rate was not high, so the number of golden pills was extremely limited. They were the most precious treasure of a golden clan, and it would only be awarded to absolutely exceptional individuals from within that clan. One would not even see it at auctions, and there was another reason for it beyond its sheer value. The fourth limitation was that a golden pill refined from the essence blood of a certain clan could only be used by that clan and other clans of the same race. Others could not use it. The Golden Lion King giving the golden pill to Big Cat was a gesture made with clear intentions. Big Cat, with his incredible combat prowess and willpower displayed in the matches, had earned the Golden Lion's recognition. Additionally, they had realized that this Lion-Tiger Sword Saint indeed possessed a first-tier bloodline, which was exactly what the Golden Lion clan lacked the most. As the saying goes, the early bird catches the worm, and with the God-slaying sword as a token of their promise, they chose to invest in Big Cat, or rather, in the entire Lion-Tiger clan. So, even though it had only been 2 days, with the support of the Golden Pill, Big Cat's bloodline power had reached a new level. The might of the Lion-Tiger Golden Force had significantly increased. The adamant nymph spread its arms to its sides, and its skin began to turn crystal clear. It sprang up and charged straight at Big Cat with incredible speed. Big Cat coldly watched his opponent. He made a grasping motion with his right hand, and a dark golden light appeared in his palm. A massive heavy sword fell into his hand, and as he held it, it seemed perfectly natural, as if it had been custom-made for him. A chilling killing intent erupted from him almost instantly. He held nothing back. The god-killing domain was immediately activated to the fullest. At this point in the competition, he didn't need to hold anything back. After all, if he won this match, he would meet Tang San in the semifinals. As if stimulated by the god-killing domain, the god-slaying sword in Big Cat's hand suddenly emitted a meter-long dark golden sword light. The chilling killing intent burst forth instantly. He took a step forward into the void and fiercely slashed at the adamant nymph. In that moment, his entire body seemed to merge with the god-slaying sword. With one slash, it was as if he was cutting through the entire world. The Golden Lion King in the VIP seats saw this scene and couldn't help but bristle up, instinctively clenching his fists. At this moment, the The sword light bursting from the god-slaying sword made him feel as if he were seeing the glory of the sword's previous master. Although Big Cat's cultivation was far inferior, at this moment, the coordination between his god-killing domain and the god-slaying sword was simply perfect. The sword, inherently filled with a killing aura, appeared even sharper under the enhancement of the god-killing domain. In his VIP box, the White Tiger Demon Emperor was silently watching the match. When he saw Big Cat unleash this slash, his eyes flashed with a bright light, and his feline pupils gleamed. The adamant nymph didn't dodge. It raised its arms, and the spectators noticed that at some point, a pair of arm guards had appeared on its forearms. With a loud bang, the adamant nymph was blasted back 7 or 8 steps, while Big Cat did not even flinch. The fierce killing intent expanded unabated. Big Cat barely paused for half a second before moving forward once more, unleashing 7 consecutive strikes. Each slash from the god-slaying sword was heavier than the last. The terrifying sword light and sword intent, stimulated by the god-killing domain, seemed to envelop the entire arena in a chilling atmosphere. There wasn't any particularly grand or magnificent display, but each slash felt as if it struck the hearts of the spectators, causing their hearts to waver, captured by the overwhelming killing intent. The adamant nymph didn't dodge. In fact, after being locked onto by the god-killing domain, it couldn't dodge. Its greatest strength lay in its defense, which it now utilized to the fullest. Though it was forced to retreat step by step, it didn't seem to suffer any injuries. A closer look, however, revealed that the pair of arm guards now bore several deep indentations. The adamant nymph clan lacked for nothing. In fact, one would be hard-pressed to find a wealthier clan. These arm guards were a divine artifact, crafted from adamant and thus perfectly matching the wearer. Yet the adamant nymph warrior now wore a bitter expression. Clearly, things were not going well. Big Cat's attacks were ferocious, and the sharpness of the god-slaying sword was closely tied to the user's fighting spirit. The stronger the user's fighting spirit, the stronger the killing intent and sharpness the sword could unleash. The most terrifying aspect of the god-slaying sword was that it had no other abilities. No long-ranged attacks, no attribute enhancement, nothing. It was considered a divine weapon solely because of its toughness, sharpness, and the killing intent it radiated. With the enhancement of the god-killing domain, all these characteristics were pushed to the extreme, and as it was empowered by the Lion Tiger Golden Force, the sword was simply unmatched. Even the defense of the adamant nymph fell short. 1. Just a reminder that the adamant here is the legendary indestructible material that has been mentioned in Chapter 361 when the indestructible adamant nymph emperor was introduced. Yes, this is where the equally legendary MCU adamantium comes from. This adamant nymph warrior's defense was as strong as the arm guards it wore, but its opponent's attacks were relentless, like the surging waves of the endless blue. As it retreated step by step, the pressure it felt was not only physical but also mental, amplified by the god-slaying sword and transmitted directly into its sea of consciousness through the god-killing domain. The terrifying killing intent oppressed its sea of consciousness, making it extremely painful. The adamant nymph could only do its best to endure. Big Cat's previous matches had been the same: constant suppression and frenzied attacks from start to finish. The god-slaying sword in his hand carried a bit of the disorder wind-splitting hammer technique Tang San taught him, combined with the devouring and repelling effects of the Lion Tiger Golden Force. Each slash he delivered made his connection with the divine sword stronger, and the Lion Tiger Golden Force, the god-killing domain, and the god-slaying sword gradually merged. In other words, each slash only made the next slash more powerful. Behind Big Cat, the enormous figure of a lion tiger appeared, constantly letting out frenzied roars. The intense killing intent actually caused ripples in the atmosphere. At the same time, the light in Big Cat's eyes grew stronger and stronger. He felt that his attacks were incredibly smooth and satisfying. At this moment, he was at his absolute peak. Never in his life had he felt so strong. He was also at the peak of the 9th order, and he was now starting to feel the threshold of the next level. Yesterday, the Golden Lion King had assured him that regardless of the outcome of the upcoming matches, the Golden Lion clan would fully support his breakthrough to godhood. This acknowledgement from the Golden Lion clan, low profile though it was for now, made him feel quite elated. He knew clearly that at this moment, he had begun to stand at the peak. As long as he became stronger, the entire lion race would become his vassals. The Lion Tiger clan would no longer be a cursed clan they despised but a truly powerful entity. The adamant nymph was slashed and sent flying by his blow. One of its arm guards shattered and a deep indentation appeared on its arm. Big Cat took a deep breath. He grasped the hilt of the god-slaying sword with both hands, and the god-killing domain suddenly contracted. At the same time, his lion-tiger golden force surged to its peak. In the sky, dark clouds began to form. Big Cat's eyes burst with platinum light as he shouted, "Die!" The match ended in the next moment. The adamant nymph contestant was simply smashed off the stage, and the fact that it was only left with a deep gash on its torso rather than being chopped in half could only be attributed to its astonishing defense. The divine weapon's advantage and Big Cat's power reaching an unprecedented peak, practically the level of a half-step god, left no room for doubt or suspense. Big Cat was in the semi-finals. This match did not overly excite the audience. There had been no heart-wrenching back and forth and very little flashiness. However, true experts could see that Big Cat and the divine sword in his hand had reached a state of unity. With the enhancement of the god-killing domain, his physique, bloodline power, and spirit were fully aligned, and he could hardly be closer to a breakthrough to godhood. Once that happened, his value would skyrocket. No clan would refuse a 10th order powerhouse. When Big Cat returned to the waiting area, Tang San was already there waiting for him. "Congratulations," Tang San said with a smile. A smile also appeared on Big Cat's stern face. "The same to you." The two raised their right hands and slapped them together, saying nothing more. After all, they were both men. What other words were needed? The referee on the stage was announcing that since Meng Didi could no longer compete, Azura automatically advanced to the next round. Since they were in the same bracket, Big Cat and Azura would meet in the first match, competing for a spot in the final. With the first bracket's semifinalists decided, the next matches would determine the semifinalists for the second bracket. And the first to compete was the current top favorite of the entire Ancestral Court Elite Tournament, Mei Gongzi. This time, Big Cat didn't rush to leave. Instead, he stood in the waiting area with Tang San to watch the upcoming match. "I heard you performed a miracle yesterday and took down Meng Didi," Big Cat said. Tang San smiled and nodded. "Just got lucky, I guess. It's all thanks to her skill." Big Cat glanced sideways at Tang San. "Is that so? I wasn't there, but I've heard about the whole process. It didn't seem like her power to me." Tang San also threw him a long-eyed glare. "Why so serious? She and I are partners. When we're fighting as a team, we are more powerful. It makes sense, no?" "Heh, I suppose it does. It's a pity there's no 3-on-3 match. Otherwise, the three of us together would be great. Maybe there will be a chance in the future. And speaking of the future, what are your plans after the competition? Will you stay with the Golden Lion clan? I guess once the competition is over, some emperors might want to recruit you. Have you thought about how to respond?" "Yes, I won't respond at all. I'll stay with the Golden Lion clan temporarily. They've agreed to help me break through to godhood. Once that's done, I'll leave the Ancestral Court." "To go back and get your clan?" "No, what for? My clan is living quite well. I don't think there's any place that would make them feel more comfortable than Golden Valley. Actually, I just asked the Golden Lion King for supplies. As for leaving Golden Valley, forget it." Tang San asked in surprise. "You're not taking the Lion Tiger clan to join the Golden Lion clan? That would be the best for you in your current situation." Big Cat firmly shook his head. "You humans have a saying, when drinking water, don't forget the one who dug the well. The Peacock Demon clan's power shift is coming, and from the way you are with her, it's clear you will inevitably get involved. How could we leave at a time? You will face immense pressure, and I will stand with you. The Lion Tiger clan will stand with you too." Tang San looked at him deeply. He neither accepted nor refused. He simply raised his hand to pat Big Cat's broad shoulder. Indeed, they were both men. What other words were needed? Big Cat's meaning was clear. Without Azura, there would be no current situation for him or the Lion Tiger clan. Had it not been for Azura helping them solve the bloodline conflict, the clan would have been facing extinction. Now, Big Cat had become strong and reached an agreement with the Golden Lion clan, but he could not and would not forsake his friend and benefactor. He would stay in Kali City to help Azura and face all the challenges together. This was the Lion Tiger clan's way of repaying Azura. The moment Azura solved the life-threatening issue of the Lion Tiger clan and saved Little Cat, Big Cat and the entire Lion Tiger clan became his most steadfast ally. At this moment, cheers suddenly erupted around the arena. The thunderous cheers were all for one person. Today, Mei Gongzi wore a long white dress that complemented her peacock blue hair, looking stunningly elegant. From being an unknown contestant at the start of the competition to becoming the top favorite, she had earned the audience's recognition through her strength. This made the spectators reevaluate the Peacock Demon Clan, which once had a demon emperor but now was confined to a corner. Undoubtedly, Mei Gongzi was seen as an extraordinary genius of the Peacock Demon Clan. Mei Gongzi walked onto the stage with a calm gaze. Compared to when she first entered the competition, she was now full of confidence in her own strength, constantly facing strong enemies, gaining combat experience through these battles, and with Tang San's help, continuously improving her strength. She constantly refined her abilities and found new ways to use them. This competition not only earned her fame but also allowed her strength to soar. Her strength and confidence added a touch of nobility and power to her already stunning appearance. Just standing on the stage made her the center of attention. Many eyes focused on Mei Gongzi as she gazed across at her opponent. He was a male over 2 meters tall, with ordinary features and narrow eyes. His face had some strange markings, purple lines that twisted and turned, giving off an eerie feeling. His hair was also purple. He was the type of person whom you'd instantly run away from if you saw him on a dark alley. And you'd be right to run. He was well known because he had the highest kill count in the Ancestral Court Elite competition. 5 contestants had already died at his hands. When his gaze fell on Mei Gongzi, his pupils narrowed, and his sinister aura intensified, clearly exuding killing intent. As the saying goes, enemies often meet on a narrow road. Yesterday, Tang San and Mei Gongzi severely injured the Meng siblings. And today, her opponent in the individual competition was a dragon race contestant. It had to be said that the dragon race was indeed a powerful race. Having 3 members in the quarterfinals was no joke. Meng Didi was eliminated due to severe injuries, but in the second bracket, there were 2 other dragons, one in front of her, and another who would compete in the next match. The contestant in front of her belonged to a less favored branch of the dragon race, the Poison Dragon Clan. The reason for his high kill count in the previous matches was obviously his highly toxic nature. The Poison Dragon Clan was not large. It only had a few members, but the most powerful one served as a guest elder in the Tenebrous Emperor's palace. Thus, the entire Poison Dragon Clan was under the protection of the Tenebrous Emperor. The Poison Dragon in front of her was originally a support player, Meng Didi's adjutant of sorts. He was here to clear up some obstacles so that Meng Didi wasted less time on matches. Unexpectedly, he was still in the competition, while Meng Didi had been not just eliminated but downright crippled. Although this person appeared to be filled with fierce killing intent, he actually felt a bit happy. About Meng Didi's severe injury, the reason was simple. Meng Didi had been the chosen successor of the Tenebrous Emperor. Now, the Tenebrous Emperor had no choice but to find someone else. If he could perform better in the competition, or even defeat the one who severely injured Meng Didi, wouldn't that earn him the Tenebrous Emperor's support? Among the dragon race, the most powerful was naturally the Crystal Demon Emperor. However, the Crystal Demon Emperor rarely dealt with the daily affairs of the race and had never designated a successor. Thus, the support of the Tenebrous Emperor was particularly important for the dragon race, so this Poison Dragon's thoughts were perfectly reasonable. Moreover, although Meng Didi lost yesterday, he didn't think he would lose as well. After all, his unique toxic attribute made it so that none of his opponents could casually approach him. The referee observed both contestants and, seeing that they were ready, announced the start of the match. This match was undoubtedly the most anticipated one in today's quarterfinals. Mei Gongzi had been competing continuously every day, in both individual and doubles matches. Although she defeated Meng Didi yesterday, she ended up unconscious, and it was unclear how much she had recovered. The audience was curious to know if she could use that red light attack again, and if she could do it alone. If so, the championship was basically in her bag. And Mei Gongzi did not disappoint. When the referee announced the start of the match, she raised her celestial plume. Silver light flickered, and a streak of red suddenly shone. Immediately, the entire arena erupted in excitement. The Poison Dragon's pupils instantly contracted. The toxic breath he was about to spew at her instead sprayed onto the ground in front of him. The dense, dark purple toxic mist quickly enveloped him instead. Not only did it act as a shield of sorts, ensuring that the opponent couldn't approach to melee range, but it also blocked perception to some extent. Yesterday, he had watched the match and witnessed the terrifying power of the vast red light Mei Gongzi released at the end, which even split the Tenebrous Dragon Clan's famous demonic weapon in 2. So, when he saw the red light emanating from Mei Gongzi's celestial plume, how could he not be afraid? He had asked his elders about the red light yesterday, and they speculated that it must be a powerful divine weapon, though no one knew exactly what it was. There were no records of it even in the Ancestral Court's archives. The red light not only shattered the demonic weapon but also eradicated all the vengeful spirits within. Although Meng Didi survived, his cultivation method relied on the blood slaughter devil spear. His cultivation base was completely wrecked. The vast righteous energy left by the red light was gradually dispelled only thanks to the personal intervention of the Tenebrous Emperor. Just as the poison dragon spewed a lungful of toxic breath in front of him, that streak of red light rose again, looking identical to when it struck down Meng Didi. But the red light only flickered for a moment before completely disappearing. Instead, silver light gate after silver light gate opened, completely encircling the poison dragon. Intimidated by the red light, the poison dragon had released that toxic mist that blocked perception. The problem with that was his perception was also partially blocked. By the time he realized something was wrong, the silver light gates had already completely surrounded him. Toxic mist surged out. A toxin, he believed, strong enough to corrode even space itself. Unfortunately for him, while the toxic mist could indeed corrode everything it touched, that took time, and most of it was simply transferred away by the space gates before being able to do anything. Each space gate emitted a powerful suction force, continuously absorbing the poison he released. The space gates surrounded him, but Mei Gongzi had already vanished. Only dense spatial cracks descended from the sky. At their level, losing the initiative was almost equivalent to losing the opportunity. The poison dragon's toxins were terrifying, but in order to be effective, the opponent had to actually make contact with them. Mei Gongzi relied on the most basic spatial ability, teleportation, avoiding direct confrontation. She consumed her opponent's strength while attacking with spatial rifts, never giving him a chance for a head-on clash. When the power of space sealed off all possible escape routes for her opponent, the outcome of the match was already decided. After over 15 minutes of attrition, the poison dragon was confined to a space no larger than 3 meters by the space gates. Completely bound, he had no choice but to swallow his frustration and concede. If he had managed to release his toxic mist all over the arena from the start, he would definitely have had a chance. He was a peak 9th order dragon, and his toxins were something even Meng Didi couldn't scoff at. But influenced by the impression of Mei Gongzi's powerful performance in the previous battle, he had inadvertently given her more than 5 seconds to set up her trap. How could he stand a chance? With this victory, Mei Gongzi smoothly advanced to the semifinals. To the ordinary spectators, this match seemed like a crushing victory. But in reality, it was nothing more than outscoring the opponent. Mei Gongzi hadn't even used the Celestial Dance or the White Tiger transformation. She'd simply relied on tactics. Her mastery of the space element seemed to grow stronger every day. Her foundation was undoubtedly important, and the full support of the Peacock Great Demon King and the relentless assistance of a former God King ensured her rapid improvement. And with this, Tang San, Big Cat, and Mei Gongzi had all advanced to the semifinals. In the next round, Tang San would face Big Cat, while Mei Gongzi would compete against the winner of today's final match. As for the doubles competition, Mei Gongzi had no concerns. After she and Tang San defeated Meng Didi and Meng Deshi, there were few opponents left who could even put up a fight, let alone pose a threat to them. In the individual competition, Tang San and his team had already achieved great success, fully meeting their goals. Tang San's initial aim was for him, Mei Gongzi, and Big Cat to at least reach the top 16. Reaching the top 16 was essential to gain recognition from the Ancestral Court, and for Big Cat it meant gaining the recognition of the Lion Race. Now, they had all reached the semifinals, continually defeating powerful opponents. Undoubtedly, they had become the focus of everyone's attention, especially Mei Gongzi, who was the current favorite to win the championship. Even if the audience didn't know that Big Cat was also their comrade, they at least knew Azura was Mei Gongzi's partner in the doubles competition. A doubles pair reaching the semifinals in the individual competition meant they were undoubtedly the favorites to win the doubles championship as well. Before this elite competition began, the Ancestral Court Council did not actually expect a participant to win both the individual and the doubles championships. Winning both required competing every day. No matter how strong one was, could they ensure they wouldn't get injured in the matches? None of the competitors was a pushover, after all. Unless one was in top condition constantly, even being the strongest did not guarantee continuous victories. And with this elimination format, losing one match meant losing everything. Yet Azura and the Peacock Princess advanced step by step under such conditions and finally reached their peak. With things as they were, it seemed that nothing could stop them anymore. It was almost unthinkable that participants that were not even pure-blooded demons or nymphs could get this far. At the same time, the celestial dance of the Peacock Demon Clan had reappeared on the continent, bringing this once glorious clan back into the ancestral court's focus. Although the higher-ups knew that this was the result of the Peacock Great Demon King's efforts, it wasn't like the man was participating himself. The fact that his descendant was able to come this far was a testament to her strength and determination. As for Azura and the Lion Tiger Sword Saint, they were complete dark horses. The former's origins were unknown, but he clearly possessed two powerful bloodlines, while the latter belonged to the cursed Lion Tiger clan and yet did not seem to suffer from any kind of curse. Although their brilliance was somewhat overshadowed by Mei Gongzi, reaching the semifinals of the individual competition still proved them to be absolute peak powerhouses. Yet, after the individual competition ended, an unexpected event occurred in the doubles competition the next day. The Azura Peacock pair faced a powerful nymph duo and won the match, but Azura got injured. Moreover, his injury seemed severe. After this match, the audience who had bet on them to win the doubles championship were greatly disappointed, and the odds plummeted. What made these people even more desperate was that the next day, in the semifinals of the individual competition, Azura withdrew due to his severe injury. Yes, he forfeited the match against the Lion Tiger Sword Saint, allowing him to advance directly to the finals. On the complete opposite, Mei Gongzi had nothing but smooth sailing. Her superior strength and celestial dance ensured that she advanced to the individual competition finals after trampling on a powerful opponent in the semifinals. Big Cat had an unwilling and unconvinced expression on his face as he confronted Tang San, who had just opened the hotel door for him. Although Tang San looked somewhat pale, he didn't seem incapable of fighting in the slightest. "I'm injured and tired. I need a break," Tang San complained with a cheerful smile. Big Cat angrily replied, "I was planning to have a fair fight with you in the arena. Even though I know I'm not your match, I wanted to compete and see where my strength stands. And don't you want to meet her in the finals? Why are you forfeiting?" Tang San first invited him to sit down in the living room. "Hey, don't get mad. If we want to spar, we can do that anytime, no? Besides, after so many days of competition, I'm really tired. I got some internal injuries in the match against Meng Didi, so resting for a day is better." Do you think beating Meng Didi was easy? He was not actually incapable of fighting, but he was not lying either. The battle with Meng Didi had exhausted Tang San's divine consciousness and spiritual power significantly. At the same time, however, being able to awaken the divine intent of the Azura sword not only benefited Mei Gongzi, but also helped him further refine and purify his spiritual power and divine consciousness. Big Cat still looked a bit unwilling and wanted to say something, but Tang San continued. "The doubles competition was supposed to be us teaming up. I prioritized love over friendship, so I have to apologize for not being able to compete by your side. How could I face you in the arena? My heart has already lost to you, so don't worry about it. Besides, in a real fight, I might not even beat you now. You have a divine weapon," Seeing Tang San's relaxed smile, Big Cat replied sullenly, "PFT, as if, you know this isn't right. Anyway, is your body okay?" Tang San nodded and said, "Don't worry, it won't affect tomorrow's doubles match." His decision to forfeit the individual competition was well considered. The most important reason was what he had just told Big Cat. He had already decided that if he faced Big Cat in the competition, he would forfeit. He had agreed to the doubles competition but then backed out at the last minute for Mei Gongzi, leaving Big Cat hanging. Although Big Cat didn't say anything, Tang San couldn't pretend it didn't happen, so he had to show his stance. Moreover, he secretly had Zhang Haoshuan contact the Redemption Society to take advantage of this opportunity and make a huge profit. The Redemption Society's financial situation wasn't great. Otherwise, they wouldn't have coveted their array discs. Tang San had Zhang Haoshuan inform the Redemption Society that he would concede the match against Big Cat. Coupled with his apparent serious injury in the doubles match and today's forfeit, the odds of him and Mei Gongzi winning the doubles championship had dropped sharply in the past 2 days. With the help of these few matches, as long as the Redemption Society managed things well, they would surely make a huge profit. No matter how weak they were, the Redemption Society had enough of a foundation to lead humanity for so many years. They could most certainly take advantage of this without anyone being the wiser. After all, the demons and nymphs betting on these matches had plenty of money. Thus, his sudden injury and forfeit actually hit a couple of birds with one stone. And as long as he and Mei Gongzi won the doubles championship, it would be enough to establish her reputation as the new top genius. greatly benefiting her in taking over the Peacock Demon clan. A faint smile appeared on Tang San's face. He patted Big Cat on the shoulder and said, "You should prepare well for the finals now. Little May has made great progress these days. Her understanding of space is truly profound, and she has made great strides recently. She is close to fully integrating her two bloodlines. The killing intent of the White Tiger Demon Emperor is even above your god-killing domain, though I don't know how much Little May has comprehended on that side. Anyway, be careful if you face her." Big Cat glanced at him and snorted. All right, I'm going back. Take care of yourself. When we get back home, you must spar with me properly, and you can't go easy on me. You have to give it your all." Tang San laughed bitterly and said, "When we get back home? After this competition, you better be sure the Golden Lion King will keep you there until you break through. You are already at that critical point, so you have to stay with the Golden Lion clan and make your breakthrough there. And after you reach the 10th order, how will I be able to fight you?" Big Cat blinked, realizing it might be true. "Then you should break through sooner too. With your abilities, you should be able to do that easily, no? That threshold should be no problem for you." In his eyes, Azura was a near-omnipotent being. He had no doubts that his friend would blast through the tribulation. Tang San harumphed. "If only it were that easy. It's going to be insanely difficult for me. You know I have more than one bloodline, plus a few other things I haven't revealed yet. They are useful in this competition, but when it comes to crossing the tribulation, they aren't just useless. They'll actually cause me more problems. Oh well, I have to work hard." What he didn't say was that although becoming a god was extremely difficult, once he did reach that point, it would mark the beginning of a completely different path, and once he embarked on that path, all obstacles in front of him would be swept away. By then, Big Cat would no longer be able to catch up. The god level was just the real first step on his quest to recover his past life abilities. After sending Big Cat away, Tang San returned to his cultivation room to continue cultivating. The rest he took that day was indeed beneficial. His sea of consciousness, previously disturbed due to calling upon the Azura Sword, had calmed down. Although his divine consciousness and spiritual power seemed weaker, they were more concentrated than before, and his sea of consciousness had expanded again, allowing him to accommodate more spiritual power. The Ancestral Court Elite competition was nearing its end. Whether Big Cat or Mei Gongzi won the individual championship, it was a good thing, but it didn't matter much. The doubles competition was where he and Mei Gongzi were determined to win. Even if Mei Gongzi got second place in the individual competition, combined with the doubles championship, it would be enough to catapult her to the pinnacle of fame. The Peacock Demon clan would greatly benefit from it as well. The rewards would undoubtedly be substantial, and it would also be easier to gain the support of the emperors. As for what happened next, that depended on their actions after returning. The Peacock Great Demon King didn't have long to live. Otherwise, he wouldn't have explained things so thoroughly that day. The gains from this trip to the Ancestral Court were simply immense, and they needed to digest everything well after returning. And the one who benefited the most was actually Tang San himself. He had become far stronger, and most importantly, he had clarified his thoughts and knew what steps to take next. Although things were becoming more urgent, especially helping Mei Gongzi control Kali City, which would be fraught with difficulties, he actually felt more confident than before. The only thing that was outside of his control was the time they had to put things in order. He hoped that, as the Peacock Great Demon King had promised earlier, they could gain more time to grow. If he could really get a year, he was confident he could prepare everything and help Mei Gongzi reach the god level. Calming his thoughts, Tang San entered a meditative state. The next day, the doubles competition continued. It was the semifinals. Those who won today would face each other on the stage for the ultimate prize. Those who made it to the final four were undoubtedly strong. Tang San and Mei Gongzi's opponents were no exception. Tang San's severe injury in the previous match had drastically decreased their odds of winning the doubles competition. They were no longer the top favorites. After all, the doubles competition was a two-person event. If one was missing, no matter how strong the other one was, it was nearly impossible to achieve a good result in such a match. However, when the match began, the audience saw Azura appear together with the Peacock Princess on stage, in what seemed to be perfect condition. As it turned out, he really was in perfect condition. He still chose to support Mei Gongzi from behind, just as during the previous match, simply channeling his power into her. Meanwhile, Mei Gongzi once more performed the celestial dance with the celestial plume, demonstrating almost divine mastery over space. From start to finish, she suppressed her opponents completely, even using spatial power to divide the battlefield and prevent them from coordinating. They won the match without even breaking a sweat and smoothly advanced to the finals. When the match ended, the audience was in an uproar. The previously underdog Azura Peacock pair once again demonstrated their strength. Although Azura had been eliminated from the individual competition, stopping at the semifinals, Mei Gongzi was still running strong. Many in the audience believed Azura's presence behind Mei Gongzi was of little consequence, and she had won the match primarily by her own strength. But in any case, they had advanced to the finals. As the biggest dark horse of the competition and the most dazzling star, Mei Gongzi had reached the finals in both the individual and doubles competitions. Even the Peacock Great Demon King hadn't anticipated such an outcome when he brought his daughter to the ancestral court. Yet the fact was undeniable. Mei Gongzi was in the run for a twofold championship, and she was getting closer and closer to the threshold of the 10th order. After the doubles semifinals, Tang San sent Mei Gongzi back to rest. He had no concerns about the upcoming final between her and Big Cat. His comrade knew how important she was to him and would not truly harm her even if he won. Mei Gongzi also understood Tang San's relationship with Big Cat, and she was well aware that Big Cat and the Lion Tiger clan would be staunch supporters when time came for her to rule Kali City. Naturally, she would restrain herself as well. They both knew that this was practically a spar among friends, and it didn't matter who won the championship. The title would stay in the family. As for the doubles competition, Tang San and Mei Gongzi's opponents in the finals were strong, but clearly not as formidable as Meng Didi and his sister. By this point, nothing could stop them from winning the championship. Everything was moving in a positive direction. Tang San had already planned that right after the competition ended and they received their awards, he and Mei Gongzi would immediately return to Kali City with the Peacock Great Demon King. He had also discussed with the Shrek squad they would stay here a while longer to continue climbing the sacred mountains and enhance their strength. They would return once they felt they had accumulated enough. Zhang Haoshuan would also stay here temporarily, making array discs and maintaining contact with the Etherhorn Merchant Association to accumulate wealth and exchange for the materials they needed, while also looking after and guiding the Redemption Academy students. Cultivation was significantly faster here in the ancestral court. This was especially the case for someone like Dubai. If he returned to Kali City, his improvement would end up completely dependent on Tang San. Here, he could climb the Celestial Fox Sacred Mountain to properly experience fortune and misfortune and improve on his own. The greatest advantage humans had over other races was their wisdom. Dubai might be a goof, but he was not an idiot and he had truly good comprehension. What he needed more were opportunities. The fortune power Tang San had given him earlier had allowed him to break through, and for the time being, staying here to cultivate was better. The highly anticipated finals of the Ancestral Court Elite Competition were finally about to begin. Tang San arrived early at the Ancestral Court Plaza. Although he was no longer a competitor in the individual competition, he had a seat in the VIP section, just like the other top 16 contestants. The Peacock Great Demon King had arrived even earlier, and when he saw Tang San, he approached right away. Tang San nodded in greeting. "Nice to see you." The Peacock Great Demon King looked in good spirits. It seemed as if the joy of recent events made him forget about the fact that he was in the process of dying. He nodded to Tang San and said, "I really didn't expect it. Little Mei actually made it to the finals in both competitions." Tang San replied, "She has great talent and comprehension, and she works extremely hard." The Peacock Great Demon King gave him a deep look. "You also deserve a lot of credit. You gave up the individual competition, right? I originally thought you two would meet in the finals." He had naturally been informed about the relationship between Big Cat and Tang San, but he hadn't expected the latter to forfeit his place in the finals just like that. Tang San smiled bitterly and said, "It's better for me to stay low-key. Let her shine alone. Otherwise, it might attract more envy. Judging by your life signs, you're about the same age as Little Mei, but your maturity makes me feel like I'm talking to a peer. Can you tell me why that is? You are the most unusual human I've ever seen." Tang San shrugged. "An old head on young shoulders? Perhaps. What do you think about today's match?" He changed the topic proactively. Since Azura had made the blood oath, he had no doubts about this mysterious human. He was still curious about his origins and his abilities, but he had to be satisfied with the scenario where Azura had been raised by the Redemption Society specifically to assist Mei Gongzi. Moreover, he could deeply feel the young man's sincere feelings for Mei Gongzi. At first, he was unwilling to accept it. In his mind, Mei Gongzi was the heir of the Peacock Demon Clan's legacy. Even if she married, it should be within the Peacock Demon Clan to ensure the continuation of their bloodline. However, with this competition, Mei Gongzi's successive transformations, Azura's performance in the matches, and the blood oath, his views gradually changed. He knew very well the extent of his daughter's abilities, but precisely because of this, he understood that in some matches, his daughter shouldn't have one. Especially when she confronted Meng Didi, he knew best of everyone that was not her power. And if it wasn't hers, then it had to be this young man's. The more he observed Azura, the more he felt that the young man was an unfathomable being. Having such a person assisting his daughter, with the assurance of the world's strongest contract, the blood oath, would greatly benefit Mei Gongzi's future. A faint smile appeared on his face, and the expression on the Peacock Great Demon King's face gradually relaxed as he waited for Tang San's response. Tang San said, "It doesn't matter to me who wins the championship. Purely from a strength perspective, Big Cat is somewhat inferior to Little Mei. But in terms of will and fighting intent, Big Cat is far superior. You should know that he has received assistance from the Golden Lion clan. With his purified bloodline and the God-slaying sword, he does stand an actual chance. However, I still favor Little Mei to win. Because we are all friends, they won't go for the kill. And in a situation where they can't kill each other, Big Cat's strength will be more restricted than Little Mei's. She is slightly stronger anyway, so the likelihood of her winning the championship is greater." The Peacock Great Demon King nodded slightly as he listened to Tang San's analysis. The young man's assessment was likely even more accurate than his own, considering he was most familiar with Mei Gongzi and Big Cat's current combat abilities. At this moment, sounds were emerging from the various private rooms. The emperors had arrived. Almost every emperor in the ancestral court was here today to watch this final battle. Mei Gongzi and Big Cat had both stepped onto the stage, standing on opposite sides. Today, Mei Gongzi was wearing a long silver dress, and her black hair turned peacock blue the moment she stepped onto the stage. On the other side, Big Cat wore a set of armor and held the god-slaying sword. Even if the armor wasn't a divine artifact, it certainly seemed extraordinary, probably a gift from the Golden Lion King. Although the difference between champion and runner-up was just one place, it was always the champion who was remembered. Who wouldn't want the glory? At this moment, the referee stepped onto the stage. A beam of white light descended from the sky, landing precisely in the center of the arena. Seeing this, both Mei Gongzi and Big Cat couldn't help but be moved. The one presiding over the final match was none other than the heaven-crossing, earth-piercing White Tiger Demon Emperor. Having him officiate was quite an interesting choice. Big Cat, as part of the Lion Tiger clan, also had the bloodline of the tiger race, and the White Tiger Demon Emperor was the patriarch of the race, the true ruler of all tiger demons. Even less needed to be said about Mei Gongzi. She was the man's granddaughter, a direct bloodline descendant. In other words, both finalists had some connection to the White Tiger Demon Emperor. When this emperor appeared, the audience had a strange feeling that the tiger race seemed to be the biggest winner of this Ancestral Court Elite Tournament's individual competition. Whether Mei Gongzi or Big Cat won the championship, both carried the tiger race's bloodline. Though neither was a pure tiger demon, they were still half tigers. In previous tournaments, those who made it to the end were mostly from powerful races like the dragons and the phoenixes. When had it ever been the tiger race's turn? Even the White Tiger Demon Emperor himself hadn't made it to the finals of the Ancestral Court Elite Tournament in his time. The White Tiger Demon Emperor's cold gaze swept across Big Cat and Mei Gongzi on either side. Both of them bowed to him in respect. "Go on, show your strength. Give it your all. This is a great opportunity for you," said the normally taciturn emperor, giving them a rare piece of advice. If anyone could see his eyes at this moment, they would notice a clear softness when he looked at Mei Gongzi. Even as an emperor, the White Tiger Demon Emperor had never thought that Mei Gongzi, who possessed his bloodline, would make it to the finals of the Ancestral Court Elite Tournament and reach the finals in the doubles competition. Although the Peacock Great Demon King was the one who brought her, she still carried the White Tiger Demon Emperor's bloodline. The White Tiger clan was considered noble within the tiger race, but it was not the strongest overall. The Golden Tiger with its golden bloodline held that title. The White Tiger Demon Emperor only became a Demon Emperor thanks to a mutation in his bloodline. Combined with numerous fortuitous encounters, it allowed him to reach the pinnacle of power. However, most of his offspring were ordinary white tigers, and none of them was able to become his true successor despite the training and resources he provided. It was precisely for this reason that emperors who could continue their lineage did not want to offend such an entity. A ruler without successors has nothing to tie them down. How can they be restrained by anything? But in this competition, Mei Gongzi displayed extraordinary strength and showed that she still had plenty of unexplored potential. Although she mostly used the abilities of the Peacock Demon Clan, this only served to highlight her extraordinary gifts. And when she did use the White Tiger transformation, it turned out that she was just as proficient with the White Tiger Demon Emperor's abilities. With proper cultivation, if she truly became an emperor in the future, she would primarily represent the Peacock Demon Clan, but she could not deny her Tiger Demon heritage. Why couldn't a demon emperor with a dual bloodline support two races? One of the main reasons the Peacock Great Demon King had brought Mei Gongzi to compete and hoped she would perform well was, in fact, that he hoped she would impress the White Tiger Demon Emperor. His support could prove decisive in her becoming the ruler of Kali City. When he saw the White Tiger Demon Emperor actually descending upon the stage to referee this match, the Peacock Great Demon King smiled. Although an emperor always officiated the finals, the decision on which emperor would do so was made internally by the Ancestral Court Council. The White Tiger Demon Emperor had definitely insisted on doing it, possibly even using up some old favors. This clearly demonstrated his approval of Mei Gongzi. Although Big Cat also had the tiger race's bloodline, how could he be closer than Mei Gongzi, who carried the bloodline of the White Tiger Demon Emperor himself? Clearly, he was there for Mei Gongzi. Even if she lost the match, he would protect her. And with him present, Mei Gongzi wouldn't need to worry about safety during her time at the Ancestral Court. Begin, the White Tiger Demon Emperor commanded coldly. In an instant, both Big Cat and Mei Gongzi could clearly feel a majestic aura enveloping the entire arena, isolating them completely from the outside world. Neither breath nor sound could penetrate the arena. Big Cat unsheathed the god-slaying sword, and his pupils turned into vertical slits almost instantly. On the other side, Mei Gongzi waved the celestial plume, and layers of spatial gates quietly opened around her. A fierce battle was about to erupt. Big Cat took a deep breath, white light faintly swirling around him. The god-slaying sword in his hand emitted a dazzling glow. The platinum-colored sword aura was tinged with a faint red, and his eyes also turned red. His aura surged, with the Lion-Tiger Golden Force reaching its peak. The god-killing domain naturally activated, and murderous intent crazily condensed within. At that moment, Big Cat stood there like a brewing storm, visibly gathering a tremendous amount of strength. On the other side, Mei Gongzi was slightly taken aback. Such a build-up from her opponent meant that the next move wouldn't be a probing strike but an all-out attack. She too took a deep breath, and her feet trod the stage gracefully as she danced amid the spatial gates. The celestial plume weaved through the air softly, linking the spatial gates together in layers upon layers. At this moment, Mei Gongzi seemed to have merged with the space around her, giving off an impression of being both illusory and powerful. Big Cat grasped the hilt of the god-slaying sword with both hands and slowly raised it. And with that motion, the frenzied killing intent and his own bloodline aura converged into the sword. Instead of expanding outward, his power actually condensed. At this moment, he seemed to have completely merged with the god-slaying sword in his hand. One could faintly see a giant sword rising into the air, towering above the stage. All of Big Cat's energy was contained within himself, and his eyes grew brighter and brighter. It was clear he intended to end the battle with one strike, similar to Tang San's sacrificial strike in the past. On the opposite side, Mei Gongzi seemed to come to a realization. Her long silver dress fluttered gracefully, and the layers of spatial gates revolved around her. The sky above her began to darken, yet at the same time, it glistened with starlight. The interior of the rotating spatial gates also began to deepen in color, and as they surrounded her, it seemed as if she were at the center of a massive black hole. This strange transformation created a strong visual impact. Both sides were clearly building up their strength, and the championship could very well be decided with the next strike. The White Tiger Demon Emperor, watching from afar, couldn't help but frown. Could such a simple and violent fighting style truly showcase their strengths? They had fought countless battles to reach this point, so why did they seem so hasty? Only Tang San understood what was actually going on. The Peacock Great Demon King was initially startled, but within a few moments he smiled. He too had understood. At this moment, both sides seemed to have reached the peak of their power buildup. The next instant, Big Cat roared, and a giant image of a lion tiger appeared behind him. He gripped the heavy sword with both hands and slashed down fiercely. A sky-shattering beam of light carried unparalleled killing intent as it descended toward Mei Gongzi. In that instant, Mei Gongzi's figure quietly vanished, her graceful dancing body swallowed by the black hole behind her and disappearing without a trace. At this moment, the entire sky turned pitch black, with only the platinum light beam fiercely slashing into the black hole. The black hole spun wildly, scattering the massive beam into countless platinum-colored sword lights. Yet the lights remained, slashing into the black hole one after the other. The platinum light blades clashed with the star-studded darkness, one being constantly consumed, the other shifting unpredictably. Big Cat roared again, and the lion-tiger image behind him suddenly disintegrated, transforming into a stream of light that poured into the platinum light beam. In an instant, the beam intensified, and light seemed to flow from Big Cat's eyes as his aura reached its peak. It seemed as if his entire being was burning at that moment. Faint golden light shot from his eyes, his bloodline boiled fiercely, and the platinum light grew brighter. The god-slaying sword emitted an unparalleled, dazzling beam. The black hole finally shattered under the wild power of the great sword, turning into countless black light strips that scattered around. The platinum light beam slashed down, dividing the entire arena in two, like a divine blade splitting heaven and earth. But on the other side, his opponent's figure was no longer. The massive arena was split in half, but he had lost track of his opponent. Star Shift could not only redirect the opponent's attacks but also relocate the user. With an explosive force that was not far from a sacrificial strike, Big Cat had ultimately broken through the Star Shift thanks to the power of the god-slaying sword. However, he couldn't lock onto Mei Gongzi while she performed the celestial dance. How could one see the secrets of heaven so easily? A silver light flickered quietly, a light gate opened in the air, and Mei Gongzi stepped out from nowhere. But when she reappeared before the spectators, her peacock blue hair had turned pure white, and even her figure seemed to have grown taller. The silver dress complemented her white hair, adding a touch of sharpness and nobility, along with a strong aura of killing intent. The white tiger transformation. Yes, after using the celestial dance to block the lion tiger sword saint's ultimate strike, Mei Gongzi had switched to the white tiger transformation. This transformation significantly enhanced her defense and physical abilities, perfectly absorbing the aftermath of the previous attack. Her pretty face was almost as pale as her hair, but it was clear that she was in much better shape compared to Big Cat, whose aura was rapidly fading on the other side. Watching Mei Gongzi descend from the sky, Big Cat used the god-slaying sword to prop himself up, blood faintly dripping from the corner of his mouth. He nodded to her. With these words, he turned and leapt off the stage, leaving just like that. At this moment, the White Tiger Demon Emperor seemed to understand something. His eyes narrowed slightly as he looked at Mei Gongzi descending from the sky and radiating an aura not unlike his own. A stream of complex emotions flashed deep in his eyes as he announced, "The champion of this individual competition is Mei Gongzi from Kali City." In the audience, Tang San frowned. He'd been there when she registered, and she didn't let him see the name she'd registered under. As it turned out, it was Mei Gongzi, so why had she been reluctant to show him? Could it be that there was more to this name than she let out? 1. Mei Gongzi looked at Big Cat's departing figure, a strange light flashing in her eyes. She instinctively glanced toward the VIP seats and saw the masked man whose lips were now curved into a smile. It felt like a dream. This was the only feeling in her heart. 1. In Chapter 30, there's a phrase that may or may not be foreshadowing. When she says, "I'm called Mei Gongzi," that is the actual phrasing from the Ross. She does not say, "My name is, but I am called." Do what you want with that information. When she first arrived at the ancestral court, she never thought about what fame she might earn. She only aimed to do her best. Yet step by step, she had moved forward, ultimately winning the championship with her own strength. The strength she now possessed was vastly different from when she first arrived. Describing it as worlds apart was not an exaggeration. The star shift she had just used had significantly improved since the first time. If the first time was just a rudimentary grasp of the technique, now she had clearly achieved basic mastery. This improvement was closely linked to her understanding of spatial power, her enhanced physical condition, and especially her increased spiritual power. And all of this was thanks to him. She had won the championship. This meant she would receive tokens from all the emperors, as well as the best reward. The White Tiger Demon Emperor walked slowly to her and said in a deep voice, "Raise your right hand and listen to the cheers." Only then did Mei Gongzi react. She slowly raised her right hand, which was still transformed by the White Tiger transformation, and spread out 5 clawed fingers in a greeting to the audience. Seeing the raised hand, the White Tiger Demon Emperor finally smiled. This was something he had never achieved in his time, yet now his descendant had done it. Yes, she was his descendant, his granddaughter. the White Tiger bloodline had taken the highest stage. The voice of the White Tiger Demon Emperor echoed in Mei Gongzi's mind. Good child. Better than your mother. Mei Gongzi turned to look at him. At this moment, she knew exactly what to do and softly said, "Thank you, grandfather." The White Tiger Demon Emperor didn't say much more. In the next instant, he transformed into a beam of white light and soared into the sky, disappearing without a trace. A tsunami of cheers erupted as the barrier set by the White Tiger Demon Emperor vanished. On the lips of all the spectators, there was only one name. Tang San had already stood up in the VIP section, and so had the Peacock Great Demon King, who was sitting next to him. Listening to the cheers and watching the girl standing in the center of the arena, with her right hand raised high, Tang San's face was lit up by a gratified smile. Meanwhile, the Peacock Great Demon King was in tears, unable to control his emotions any longer. The championship was an unprecedented glorious achievement for the Peacock Demon clan. With this ancestral court elite competition championship, Mei Gongzi's succession to the throne would be much smoother. With this championship, the chances of neutral emperors supporting her would greatly increase. With this championship, she would find it much easier to become the new Peacock Great Demon King, and then, the new Peacock Demon Emperor. All their efforts had not been in vain. All the opportunities were finally moving in the direction he hoped for. At this moment, the Peacock Great Demon King couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. He had never feared death. Even when facing his greatest enemy, the Crystal Phoenix Demon Emperor, it was with a mindset of indifference to life and death. But at this moment, he really didn't want to die because he hoped even more to see Mei Gongzi lead the Peacock Demon clan to regain peak status in the Empyrean Dominion. He hoped to see her become the new generation's emperor, to see the Peacock Demon clan rise again, and to see the brilliance of the celestial plume shining in the sky. Mei Gongzi's pretty face was slightly flushed. She was surrounded by the attention of demon and nymph spectators, yet she was human. Yes, whether it was the Peacock Demon clan or the White Tiger Demon Emperor's bloodline, neither was the bloodline she truly acknowledged in her heart. The one she truly identified herself with was the human bloodline from her mother. As a human, she stood at the pinnacle of the ancestral court elite competition. As a human, she became the top genius on the demon continent. The ancestral court elite competition was also known as the Cradle of Emperors. Although not every champion could become an emperor and not every emperor had been a champion, in the tournament's history, no emperor had emerged without first being one of the top 16. At this moment, Mei Gongzi was standing at that height. The door to the future had opened, and it was full of light. Meanwhile, Big Cat had also arrived at the VIP section, and he stood beside Tang San. Tang San turned to look at him, and saw that Big Cat had a slight smile on his face. "What are you looking at? Is it wrong to admit I'm not as good?" Tang San smiled helplessly and shook his head. Big Cat said irritably, "It's still better than what you did, no?" He had originally intended to concede directly, but that wouldn't have sat well with the lion race, so he had ended up choosing this approach. Going all out with a full power strike seemed fine, but it wasn't the best way to showcase his fighting spirit. Moreover, the god-killing domain was a power that grew stronger with battle, not an instant burst ability. In other words, he didn't actually go all out. Otherwise, even if Mei Gongzi managed to win, she would have paid a price, possibly affecting tomorrow's doubles final. Tang San had given way to Big Cat, and Big Cat returned the favor to Mei Gongzi in the final. Such as camaraderie, right? Big Cat sighed and said, "In any case, if I'm to be honest, even if I did go all out, I wouldn't be her match. Her understanding of space is too great, her spiritual power is above mine, and the celestial plume is higher level than the god-slaying sword. In a prolonged fight, I wouldn't be her opponent. Plus, she has the white tiger transformation to boost her physique. My chance of winning was less than 10%. She's really strong, and this victory is well-deserved. It's different from our fight. You could have won, yet you chose not to." Tang San laughed. "How do you know I could have won? You're much stronger now than you were back then. You are the Lion Tiger Sword Saint, invincible below the god level. The hell are you talking about? Are you mocking me? You, Mei Gongzi, and even Meng Didi before he got injured are all clearly above me. You all seem to be at the god level even if you're not. Well, whatever. When I do become a god, I will be able to fully integrate the golden bloodline and transform completely. Then we can have a proper fight again. Let's see if you can still beat me once that happens. You have to break through as well." Tang San smiled bitterly. "You and I know I want to, but it's not that simple." The Peacock Great Demon King was naturally privy to their conversation, And when he heard Tang San's words, he said solemnly, "If you want to break through to the 10th order, tell me what resources you need. Kali City will provide them." Tang San nodded slightly. After this tournament, he knew he had fully gained the approval of the Peacock Great Demon King. While the man was still alive, he needed to quickly resolve the internal conflicts in Kali City. Mei Gongzi was on the stage for a full half hour, basking in the cheers of the audience, before finally popping out of existence. The awards wouldn't be given today. They would wait until after the doubles final. After all, the champion's reward was a divine artifact. If Mei Gongzi received another artifact now, there would be no need for the doubles final. Spatial abilities were particularly useful for avoiding public attention. When Mei Gongzi arrived beside Tang San and the Peacock Great Demon King, her pretty face was flushed with excitement. After all, she was still just a teenage girl. Having won the individual championship, the release of all the pressure left her feeling exhilarated. She looked at Tang San, then at Big Cat, and softly said, "Thank you." Tang San smiled and said, "Don't thank us just yet. We still have a match tomorrow. Save the excitement for after we win the doubles championship." Hearing his words, Mei Gongzi's excitement subsided a bit. She nodded to him lightly, and the confidence in her eyes grew even stronger in terms of true strength. Big Cat was indeed no longer her match. Although he had held back in this fight, her victory was well-deserved. Big Cat holding back had the biggest benefit of not affecting their state for tomorrow's championship match. Mei Gongzi's victory today had undoubtedly made them the favorites to win again tomorrow. The Peacock Great Demon King used his spatial power to teleport the three of them away. The ancestral court square was now packed, with countless spectators wanting to get a close look at the new champion. Teleportation was the most prudent way to leave. This time, the Peacock Great Demon King did not take Mei Gongzi to his own quarters, but instead transported all of them to the White Tiger Hotel and then left, saying they should discuss the strategy for tomorrow's finals. Big Cat wisely left as well, saying he would come back tomorrow to cheer them on. Tang San quietly brought Mei Gongzi through the mostly empty hotel and into his room. He closed the door behind him, and when he turned around, they were face to face. Mei Gongzi's pretty face still had a faint blush. Her beautiful eyes were filled with a mix of emotions as she looked at Tang San. But when she saw the mask on his face, she restrained herself. "Big brother, thank you. I couldn't have won the championship without you." Tang San shook his head lightly. "No need to thank me. This is the result of your own efforts. Next, once we finish the competition, we need to return to Kali City as soon as possible." As he spoke, he led her to the living room, and they sat down. Mei Gongzi's agitated mood gradually calmed down. Tang San smiled and said, "You are now at the 9th order, and your understanding of spatial power has reached a deeper level, touching the threshold of divinity. But you shouldn't rush to breakthrough. Building a solid foundation first will get you more benefits during the breakthrough. I don't know how much you were told about this, but transitioning from the 9th order to the 10th is a crucial process. It's not like the previous breakthroughs. You are quite literally shedding your mortal shell to become a god." Previously immersed in the joy of winning the championship, Mei Gongzi had not given this matter any thought. Her gaze now turned serious as she listened to Tang San's explanation. She found his guidance to be even more detailed and wise than her father's at times. During the transformation from human to god, the entire body undergoes a baptism. The tribulation lightning is essentially a stimulus for the body and also cleanses it, but the primary transformation occurs from within. Therefore, the more solid your foundation before this transformation, the greater the benefits you'll gain during the breakthrough. This will enhance your potential at the god level, allowing you to progress further in the future. What you need to do next is to continue deepening your understanding of spatial power while compressing your bloodline power and spiritual power as much as possible, delaying the tribulation. Also, I suggest you start focusing more on the White Tiger transformation. Since this bloodline could produce a powerful emperor, it naturally follows that its inherent potential is certainly not inferior to the Peacock Demon bloodline. In battle, you mainly rely on the Peacock transformation, but it's about time to change that. Now that you have advanced in both body and spirit, you can truly attempt to bring the two bloodlines together. If you reach the same comprehension and proficiency with the White Tiger transformation that you have with the Peacock transformation, the difficulties you face during the tribulation will increase, but so will the benefits once you succeed. The White Tiger transformation provides physical protection and momentum, while the Peacock transformation offers myriad changes and insights into the secrets of the heavens. These two complement each other and will bring you even more unique advantages. Also, make sure to ponder on that flash of sword intent you saw last time. It is crucial for you. It's an artifact far more powerful than the celestial plume, and it will be your true weapon in the future. Listening to Tang San, Mei Gongzi's eyes sparkled. She nodded, but then she chuckled softly. Can't you let me be happy for a bit? I just won the championship, you know? Tang San paused and then chuckled as well. Hey, you're right. We'll talk about it later then. Mei Gongzi shook her head and smiled at him. Go ahead. I know you're saying all this for my sake. All right. Tang San nodded. In any case, there's just one more thing I must emphasize to you. Seeing his serious expression, Mei Gongzi also restrained her smile. You must use the celestial plume's ability to peer into the secrets of heaven sparingly, or preferably not at all.
Mei Gongzi was stunned.
The ultimate ability of her celestial dance was to gain insights into the future, and these insights could be used both in direct combat and outside it. In some aspects, it was even more powerful than the celestial fox demon emperor's control over fortune. Now, Tang San was telling her not to use it. Wouldn't that turn the ultimate ability of the peacock transformation completely useless? Seeing her puzzled expression, Tang San sighed and said, I heard some things about the celestial plume from your father. Do you know why the ancestor of the Peacock Demon clan, the Peacock Demon Emperor, had such a short lifespan, much shorter than other emperors? Do you know why the lifespans of the Peacock Demon clan leaders have always been short, in spite of their high cultivation? It's all related to the celestial plume. The celestial plume's ability to see destiny is indeed extremely powerful. But do you know? Even emperors, with all their power, can't truly see the future. Even higher-level beings can't. The secrets of heaven must not be revealed. Trying to forcefully see them brings backlash, and this backlash is inevitably fatal. So I'm saying this again. Use it as little as possible, preferably not at all. I haven't decided what to do with the celestial plume yet, but in the future, I'll give you a much stronger divine item in exchange, one that's better suited for protecting you. The backlash caused by peering into destiny stems from a power of the ultimate level. No power of this world can undo it. Mei Gongzi was taken aback. Is it that serious? Tang San replied very seriously. It's even more serious than I can explain. Anything else is manageable, but not this. There's nothing I can do about it. In fact, there's no one that can. Tang San had been a god king, yet even then, at the very height of his power, he could do nothing to save his wife. She forcefully peered into destiny and altered it in order to help him through a crisis, and she bore the backlash of the cosmos all alone. At the time, Tang San didn't know what she had done, and by the time he found out, it was too late. Only after that did he understand how much she had sacrificed for him. Mei Gongzi could sense his tension at this moment. It was the first time she had felt such an emotion from Tang San. Even when facing the formidable opponent that was the tenebrous dragon Mengdidi, he had always appeared confident. But now, his nervousness was evident, and his eyes even showed a hint of fear, something Mei Gongzi had never seen before. Big brother, I want to promise you, but I can't be sure I can do it. If it comes to a matter of life and death, if Kali City is under a great threat, I can't ignore such a powerful ability. Please understand, she said softly. You have me. As long as I'm by your side, I won't let anyone threaten you, Tang San said earnestly. Mei Gongzi gently shook her head and said, but I still don't even know what you look like. I feel that you're someone I can rely on, and I feel your kindness toward me. But this mask is always a barrier between us. Why can't you take it off and let me see your face? If I let you see my face, can you promise not to use the celestial plume's ability in the future?
Mei Gongzi blinked.
Do you want me to swear an oath? No, Tang San blurted out. If you truly face a life-threatening situation and I'm not there to help you, then of course, you should use it to save your life. You don't need to swear an oath. Mei Gongzi said, then take off your mask and let me see. Tang San hesitated. He really didn't know how Mei Gongzi would react if he took off his mask and showed her his face. After all, he was actually 2 or 3 years younger than her. He couldn't explain how someone so young could have all the abilities he had. He was even more afraid of damaging the good relationship he had painstakingly built with Mei Gongzi. Mei Gongzi said, still unwilling? Big brother, I don't understand why you are. Do you think I would care about your appearance? You're underestimating me. It's not about my appearance, Tang San said with a bitter smile. Mei Gongzi paused. Then her eyes widened as she thought of something. I actually know your real identity, don't I? Tang San remained silent. A woman's intuition is indeed frightening. Mei Gongzi stared at him, trying to find clues from his expression, but she couldn't figure out who he could be. She understood from his silence that they indeed knew each other, but she could not for the life of her recall anyone like him. She slowly raised her hand, reaching for Tang San's mask. Tang San raised his hand to stop hers and finally made a decision. Let's do it this way. Tomorrow is the doubles final. After that, I'll show you. Just wait one more day, so it doesn't affect tomorrow's match. Okay. Mei Gongzi lowered her hand, realizing that one more day indeed wouldn't make a difference. She nodded slowly. All right, tomorrow then, but you have to keep your word. Tang San was actually very nervous at this moment. The thought of taking off his mask and showing Mei Gongzi his true face made him anxious. Then you must remember what I just said. Never look into the secrets of heaven, no matter who asks you to do it, not even for your father. The backlash is no small matter.
Mei Gongzi nodded.
Okay, I'll try not to use it. A faint smile appeared on Tang San's face. He really wanted to hug her. Unfortunately, now was not the time. Once he took off the mask and she saw and accepted his true identity, they could move further in their relationship. He would become her right-hand man, her closest confidant. He would make her fall in love with him in this lifetime as well. He would be her lover, and he would stay by her side as they both grew stronger, until they reached the God King level once more and went home together. At this moment, Tang San felt warmth in his heart. Everything was moving in the right direction. This tournament had been quite beneficial for them. Not only had he and Mei Gongzi gotten stronger, but they had also become far closer. A faint smile appeared on Tang San's face, accompanied by a soft glow in his eyes. Let's discuss tomorrow's strategy. In fact, their opponents in the doubles match were unlikely to be stronger than Meng Didi and his sister. And now, they were even stronger than when they faced Meng Didi. The doubles championship was practically in their grasp. Tang San's thoughts even drifted back to Cali City, contemplating the steps to take upon their return to make the most of their gains. Additionally, he needed to help Mei Gongzi improve further, understand the White Tiger transformation, and harness more of its power, making her stronger and achieving godhood sooner. Time passes by quickly when you're in good company. They talked until evening, starting with the strategy for tomorrow's match and moving on to Tang San helping Mei Gongzi review her abilities, teaching her how to use the two bloodlines together and enhance the White Tiger transformation. All of this was extremely useful for Mei Gongzi. Her progress had indeed been significant, and her comprehension of higher-level abilities surpassed even Tang San's expectations. All she had to do was further accumulate strength and prepare for the breakthrough. It wasn't until after dinner that Mei Gongzi returned to her quarters and Tang San was left alone in his room. Tomorrow, after the match, he would reveal his identity to her. How would she react then? At this moment, Tang San really couldn't calm down. He worried that Mei Gongzi might overreact upon discovering that Azura was actually Tang San, or that any budding feelings she had might dissipate upon learning his true identity. After all, it meant he had been hiding his identity from her and deceiving her. Moreover, she had previously asked Azura to find Tang San for her. Thinking back, when Azura asked her for a bubble tea cup, she didn't give it to him, but she did give it to Tang San instead. Finding out that Azura and Tang San were the same person might make her feel deeply embarrassed. At this moment, his feelings were even more complicated than when he faced the Celestial Fox Demon Emperor. What should I do? I can't even freaking calm down. But he also understood that this mask had become the only true barrier between him and Mei Gongzi. If he didn't take it off and show her who he was, their relationship would likely never progress further. So be it. Since he had already promised her, there was no turning back. He could only take things one step at a time. Thinking about this, Tang San couldn't help but feel his face flush and his heart race. He could only hope that Mei Gongzi would accept the fact that Azura was actually schoolyard sweeper Tang. That night felt particularly long for Tang San. The city also didn't sleep, but for an entirely different reason. The entire ancestral court was in a state of excitement, and Mei Gongzi's name resounded in every corner. The top figure of the younger generation wasn't from the dragon or phoenix races, or even from the behemoth clan, but from the peacock demon clan. Phoenixes and peacocks had always fought for the title of king of birds. They were never at peace. Eventually, the phoenix race gained the upper hand, leading to the decline of the peacock demon clan. No one could have anticipated that so many years after the peacock demon emperor's death, a girl with human, peacock demon, and white tiger bloodlines would be the one to rise to the pinnacle. Many strong figures in the ancestral court now believed that Mei Gongzi had some kind of unique bloodline mutation. The biggest issue with mutated bloodlines was that they found it extremely difficult to produce viable offspring. But in exchange, some of these mutations resulted in power far beyond the original bloodline. Moreover, both the Peacock Demon and the White Tiger bloodlines were first tier, and since there was no apparent conflict between them, her strength was to be expected. She also possessed remarkable comprehension, having even mastered the celestial dance of the Peacock Demon clan and achieved initial proficiency in Star Shift, an ability that typically required god-level comprehension of space and divine consciousness. These showcased her extraordinary talent. She even defeated the formidable heir of the Tenebrous Demon Emperor, Meng Didi, thus becoming the leader of the younger generation. Additionally, she had stunning looks and a noble demeanor. Overnight, Mei Gongzi had become the most sought-after figure in the entire ancestral court.